Chapter 13:11. However, he did not give up and continued. As long as you tell me the truth, I'll let you live. Do you think I'll believe your bullshit? Mu Dahue sneered. I swear in the name of my mother. You should know how important my mother is to me. So as long as you're willing to tell me, I won't go back on my word, Qin Feiyang said. In your dreams, Mu Dahue said. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists and said, Then let me ask you again. Is there anyone from the Mu family in the Endless Ocean now? The Endless Ocean? Gongsun Bei was stunned. Why did Qin Feiyang ask this? Could it be that the mysterious madam was in the Endless Ocean? Mu Dahue said disdainfully, Don't waste your breath. I won't say anything. If you want to kill me, do it. Phew. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. He said lightly, Brother Gongsun, deal with it as you see fit. Gongsun Bei's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent. Gongsun Bei, let me tell you, you'll regret cooperating with Qin Feiyang sooner or later, because no one in the main tower can beat him, Mu Dahue said contemptuously. You don't have to worry about that. Go repent in hell. Gongsun Bei waved his hand, and a wave of battle aura swept out like a sharp blade. Mu Dahue's head immediately fell to the ground, and blood spurted out a few meters away. Do you feel better now? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. How can I win if I don't kill them all? Gongsun Bei smiled coldly. Qin Feiyang said, Then let's go. What about this body? If the Mu family finds it, it won't be good for us. Gongsun Bei said worriedly. Don't worry. There are ferocious beasts everywhere here. Soon, not even a drop of blood will be left. Qin Feiyang laughed. Gongsun Bei nodded, and then continued to rush toward the mountain ridge with the 2 men and 2 beasts. On the way, everyone hid their aura and went around the 9-star monarch beasts. Along the way, there was no danger. Finally, the 3 humans and 2 beasts arrived at the foot of the mountain ridge. The mountains towered into the clouds, exuding a majestic aura. Mountain streams, towering ancient trees, and ferocious beasts. Moreover, they were basically 5-star to 8-star monarch beasts. There were also 9-star monarch beasts auras on the peaks of the mountain range. This place was like a dragon's lair or a tiger's den. A moment of carelessness, and you would lose your little life. The entrance to the Mu family's lair is right there. Gongsun Bei pointed at one of the giant peaks. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng raised their heads and looked over. They saw a giant mountain that was 50 to 60,000 feet high, like a giant sword that pierced the sky. That giant peak was also the highest peak in the mountain range. Follow me, Gongsun Bei said in a low voice and flew towards the mountain peak. However, he did not fly in the air. Because they were flying at high altitudes, they were a huge target and could easily be intercepted by 9-star monarch beasts. Along the way, Gongsun Bei also skillfully avoided one fierce beast after another. Obviously, he was extremely familiar with this place. A moment later, under Gongsun Bei's lead, the group finally reached the mountain peak. However, the moment they reached the mountain peak, both Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng's expressions changed. Their faces were filled with horror. As for the seahorse and the seal, they immediately turned around and fled in fear. Why are you running? Stop! Gongsun Bei shouted in a low voice. The seahorse said without turning its head, Nonsense. There are so many 9-star monarch beasts. If we don't run, we'll be waiting for death. That's right. On this mountain peak, there were fierce beasts lying everywhere. The mountain peak was not big. There were rocks and weeds everywhere. However, between the weeds and rocks, there were at least 100 fierce beasts. There were all kinds of beasts. They were all closing their eyes and taking a nap. The aura they emitted was, without exception, that of a 9-star combat emperor. 100 9-star monarch beasts. What kind of concept was that? Once they were awakened, it could be described as apocalyptic. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng also broke out in cold sweat. They were afraid that these fierce beasts would suddenly awaken. Gongsun Bei looked at the seahorse and seal helplessly and said, They're not real. What? They're not real? The seahorse and seal were stunned. They turned around and glanced at the hundreds of 9-star monarch beasts. Whether it was their appearance or aura, they were extremely real. How could they be fake? The seal said warily, "We're still young. Don't fool us." "Why would I fool you?" Gongsun Bei rolled his eyes. He took a step forward and landed next to a fierce beast. He kicked it, and the fierce beast immediately disappeared from everyone's sight like a bubble. This, Qin Feiyang was stunned. Lu Zheng was also stunned. The eyes of the seal and the seahorse almost popped out of their sockets. "This is the illusion I told you about," Gongsun Bei said. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and landed on the top of the mountain one after another. They walked toward Gongsun Bei while looking at the fierce beasts around them in amazement. The seal imitated Gongsun Bei and raised its paw to slap a few fierce beasts. Those fierce beasts immediately collapsed and disappeared. Amazing! Looking at this scene, the seal couldn't help but marvel. Qin Feiyang walked in front of Gongsun Bei and shook his head. "I didn't expect the Mu family to set up such an illusion at the entrance. As you said, without someone to lead the way, it's really impossible to find the entrance." Lu Zheng sighed. "Even if you can find it, seeing so many vivid 9-star monarch beasts, you'll definitely be scared witless like the seahorse and seal." Hearing this, the seal and seal were quite embarrassed. Qin Feiyang looked at the other peaks and asked, "Are the 9-star monarch beasts on those peaks also illusions?" "They're all real. Don't mess with them. Follow me." After Gongsun Bei finished speaking, he turned and walked toward the other side of the mountain peak. Qin Feiyang and the others quickly followed. Soon, they came to the edge of the cliff and entered their sight of a sea of clouds. The sea of clouds was bottomless and surrounded by clouds and mist, giving people an unfathomable sense of mystery. And within the sea of clouds, there were countless 9-star monarch beasts' auras. The group was looking curiously. Roar! Suddenly, in the distant sea of clouds, a fierce beast roared out. It was as huge as a mountain and exuded a monstrous divine power. Divine power. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. There was a divine beast here. "Gongsun Bei, is the Mu family under the sea of clouds?" Lu Zheng asked, his eyes full of nervousness. The seahorse and seal were so scared that they hid behind Qin Feiyang, trembling. Gongsun Bei smiled. "Don't be nervous. The sea of clouds and the divine beast are also illusions." "What?" The 2 men and 2 beasts were shocked. "There are a total of 3 illusions here. The first illusion is these 9-star monarch beasts on the mountain peak, and the second illusion is the sea of clouds and the divine beast," Gongsun Bei said. The 2 men and 2 beasts looked at each other and shook their heads with a bitter smile. It turned out that they were just scaring themselves. The divine beast did not exist at all. "Wait." Suddenly, Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "We've seen the first and second layer of the illusion. Where is the third layer of the illusion?" Gongsun Bei did not answer. "Hide your aura and follow me." After speaking, he took the lead to hide his aura to the extreme and then stepped into the sky above the sea of clouds. The moment he stepped into the sky above the sea of clouds, Gongsun Bei disappeared from their sight. This, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. "This place is too strange. Hurry up and follow him. Don't get lost," Lu Zheng said. The 2 men and 2 beasts also hid their aura and stepped into the sky above the sea of clouds. They found that they had appeared in front of a canyon, and Gongsun Bei was standing next to them. The seahorse said in surprise, "Didn't we enter the sea of clouds? Why is it a canyon?" "Didn't you hear Gongsun Bei say that the sea of clouds is just an illusion? I think this canyon is the real thing," Lu Zheng said thoughtfully. The canyon was still surrounded by clouds and mist, giving it a mysterious feeling. Behind them, the mountain peak they were on before had disappeared and was replaced by clouds and mist. At this moment, it was as if they were standing in a fairyland. It was very unreal. Gongsun Bei said telepathically, "The third illusion is in this canyon." When they heard this, they immediately looked into the canyon and saw many beasts lying in the canyon. There was a giant python, a poisonous scorpion, a fierce tiger, and a dragon. In short, all the beasts they had seen before were here. The most shocking part was that all of them were actually 9th-star emperor beasts. Needless to say, they must be fake too. The seahorse smiled and strode into the canyon. However, as soon as the seahorse took its first step, Gongsun Bei pulled it back and said, "Do you want to die?" "Why?" The seahorse looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyong, Lu Zhang, and the seal also looked at Gongsun Bei in confusion. "Do you know why I asked you to hide your aura? Because the beasts in this canyon are not all illusions. Some of them are real. If we don't hide our aura, we will be discovered as soon as we appear," Gongsun Bei said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the seahorse immediately jumped behind Qin Feiyong like a frightened rabbit. "According to my investigation, there are at least 10 nine-star emperor beasts in these illusions. They are here to guard the canyon. And at the end of the canyon is the Mu clan's nest," Gongsun Bei said. Lu Zhang raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, 10 nine-star emperor beasts are nothing. But if they are alarmed, it is equivalent to alarm the entire Mu clan. We still haven't figured out the Mu clan's background, so we can't be discovered by them. "Yes, we can't be discovered by them." Qin Feiyong nodded, pondered for a moment and said, "Let's go to the castle." After saying that, he waved his hand, and the group suddenly disappeared. Not long after the group of people disappeared, a blood-red falcon flew out of the canyon like lightning and scanned the surroundings suspiciously. "Strange. I clearly felt that someone broke in just now. Why is there not even a shadow now? Could it be an illusion?" The falcon muttered, looked around carefully, and then turned back to the canyon. "That was close. Fortunately, we came to the castle. Otherwise, we would have been caught red-handed." Inside the castle, looking at the falcon that disappeared in the picture, Gongsun Bei was scared. Then, he turned his head to look at the castle and said in surprise, "Is this the spatial divine item that you are hiding in?" Qin Feiyong nodded. Then, he piloted the ancient castle and flew into the canyon. Chapter 13:12. Inside the canyon, there were all kinds of beasts that looked very real. Some were lying on the ground and taking a nap. Some were looking around with disdain and majesty. It was impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. What's going on? There are only these few people in the castle? At the same time, Gongsun Bei glanced at Viper, Dan Wangkai, Wang Xiaojia, Black Dragon Snake, and the other beasts. His eyes were full of suspicion. Was this Qin Feiyong's foundation? He originally thought that since Qin Feiyong was so arrogant in front of the Chief Tower Master, there must be a large number of experts hidden in the castle. However, he did not expect that there were only these few people. Moreover, their strength was not that great. In other words, apart from the 2 nine-star emperor beasts, the seahorse and the seal, Qin Feiyong did not have any powerful experts around him. This kid had been pretending to be mysterious. However, he's quite good at pretending. Even the Chief Tower Master and I were fooled by him, Gongsun Bei muttered to himself as he pursed his lips in self-mockery. However, he did not know that Qin Feiyong's true foundation was not in the castle, but in the tower. Wait, Gongsun Bei suddenly looked at Viper and Dan Wangkai. Both of them had their backs facing Gongsun Bei, but their backs were familiar to Gongsun Bei. Gongsun Bei asked suspiciously, "You too, have I seen you somewhere before?" Qin Feiyong unnoticeably raised his eyebrows. This was what he was worried about. If Gongsun Bei recognized Dan Wangkai and Viper, he would know that Wang Ziqing and the others were lying. Wang Ziqing and the others were now in the Chief Tower. They were his spies in the Chief Tower and could not be suspected by Gongsun Bei. It was also because he considered the safety of Wang Ziqing and the others that he did not bring Gongsun Bei into the castle, even though it was very dangerous. "Have we seen each other before?" Dan Wangkai suddenly spoke, but his voice was hoarse. As he spoke, Dan Wangkai turned his head to look at Gongsun Bei. However, when he saw Dan Wangkai's current appearance, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with a smile. It was an extremely old face, covered with dry wrinkles. He then looked at Viper. Viper also turned his head. His appearance had also changed. He was now a sickly middle-aged man. "You've changed your appearance so quickly. You guys are pretty smart." Qin Feiyong laughed secretly. Of course, adaptability is the strength of the Qinghai 10 heroes. Viper smiled proudly. Then, He looked at Gong Sun Bei and asked suspiciously, "Are you sure we've met before?" Gong Sun Bei glanced at the two of them and smiled bitterly. He clasped his hands and said, "I mistook you for someone else. Sorry." The two of them smiled inwardly, turned around, and continued to cultivate with their eyes closed. Qin Feiyang also turned his head to look at the situation in the canyon as he flew towards the end of the canyon. The canyon was not wide, but it was very long. It was like a giant python, winding and stretching to the end of the sky. About a few hundred breaths later, the castle crossed the canyon and finally came to the end. What entered the picture was still a sea of clouds. White clouds rolled, and fog lingered. It was like a fairyland. More than 10 miles ahead, above the sea of clouds, there was a behemoth floating. What the hell is that? Is it an illusion? Lu Zheng looked at the behemoth, dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang was also in disbelief. It was actually a city. The city was very big, about a few hundred miles in diameter. In the city, there were majestic buildings, wide streets, rolling mountains, and all kinds of birds and auspicious beasts flying above the city. It was like a continent floating in the void. Every brick, tile, grass, and tree was full of a mysterious color. What you see now is not an illusion. That city is the Mu family's nest. Gong Sun Bei stared at the city, his eyes flashing coldly. I didn't expect them to live in such a place. Qin Feiyang murmured. What was the difference between this place and fairyland? Clouds lingered. Auspicious beasts flew. These people really knew how to enjoy life. Gong Sun Bei said, "Although we found this place, there is still a problem." What problem? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. The Mu family set up an invisible barrier around the city. If you want to enter the city, you first have to find a way to pass through this barrier. Gong Sun Bei said, "Divine barrier?" Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat as he glanced at the void in front of the city. Haven't you been here before? You should know how to break this barrier, right? Lu Zheng looked at Gong Sun Bei. Do you see that man? Gong Sun Bei pointed at the edge of the city. Qin Feiyang looked over and saw a 10-meter-tall stone pillar at the edge of the city. A black-haired old man in a green robe sat cross-legged at the top of the stone pillar, resting with his eyes closed. Gong Sun Bei said, "His name is Mu Yuan, the first butler of the Mu family. He is responsible for guarding the barrier. Anyone who wants to enter the city has to go through him." The first butler? Then isn't he an antique? Lu Zheng said. Yes. He has been here since the Mu family first came to the Forgotten Continent. Although he is only the butler of the Mu family, he has great prestige in the Mu family. Even the patriarchs of the family are very polite to him. Moreover, his cultivation is extremely terrifying. He is at the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. When I first snuck in here, he was the one who almost discovered me, Gong Sun Bei said in a deep voice. The peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. Then he is a difficult opponent, Qin Feiyang muttered. Suddenly, he turned his head to look at Gong Sun Bei and said, "The Mu family is so heavily guarded. How did you manage to sneak in here? I am really curious. How did you do it? Why do you have to expose a secret that no one wants to talk about?" Gong Sun Bei laughed and said, "I was rude." Qin Feiyang smiled apologetically. He turned his head to look at Mu Yuan on the screen. His eyes flickered. Suddenly, he turned his head to look at Viper and said with a smile, "It seems that I need you to enter the city." Viper was stunned. He stood up and said, "Young master, please tell me." Qin Feiyang said, "Your cultivation is the same as Mu Xing and Mu Sheng. You are all 3-star combat emperors. You can disguise yourself as one of them and sneak in." Okay. Viper nodded. He took an illusion pill and disguised himself as Mu Xing. Then, he found a set of clothes similar to Mu Xing's and put it on. This method won't work. However, at this moment, Gong Sun Bei shook his head and said, "Why?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Because Mu Yuan is a very cautious person. Even if the chief tower lord came to visit the Mu family, or if the Mu family's people came back from running errands, they would first use the Heaven's Eye Stone to verify their identity. Gong Sun Bei said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel angry. There were 3 layers of illusions outside. Was there a need to be so cautious? It can be said that for the past 10,000 years, the Mu family's base has never been discovered. It is all because of this Mu Yuan. Gong Sun Bei sighed. This is really a difficult problem. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. If there was no divine force barrier, it wouldn't be a problem. He could easily sneak in. But now, even the ancient castle couldn't be used. What should he do? Lu Zheng's eyes flickered. He suddenly said, I think we can only take a risk now. What risk? Qin Feiyang and Gong Sun Bei looked at him suspiciously. Lu Zheng pointed to Viper and said, he will use the identity of Mu Xing to tell Mu Yuan that Mu Dahue is missing? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He nodded and said, this method is feasible. Immediately, he looked at Viper and the others who were suspicious and said, think about it. When Mu Yuan learns that Mu Dahue is missing, how will he react? Viper thought for a moment and said, he will definitely be shocked and immediately go to the top of the mountain to check. That's right. When such a thing happens, the first thing he will think of is to check the situation, not to verify your identity. And if he wants to go to the top of the mountain, he will first have to open the divine force barrier, and I can take the opportunity to control the ancient castle and sneak into the city. But this way, there will be a big problem. Qin Feiyang frowned. What problem? Viper asked. When we leave the city, it will be troublesome. And during the time we enter the city, you can't go with us. Because when Mu Yuan confirms that Mu Dahue is missing, he will definitely ask you about the situation, and if he can't find you, he will definitely be suspicious. So, this is a very dangerous thing for you. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Viper pondered for a moment, gritted his teeth and said, I'm not afraid. I believe that I can deal with it. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang frowned. Although Viper had not been with him as long as White-Eyed Wolf and Fatso, he had long regarded Viper as a family. Frankly speaking, he really did not want Viper to take the risk. I'm sure. Viper nodded. All right. Be careful. Also, I'll give you Chang Shui. It will definitely help you at a critical moment. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he took out Chang Shui and handed it to Viper. Viper was stunned. After following Qin Feiyang for so long, he naturally knew how important Chang Shui was to Qin Feiyang. Normally, he would never give it to anyone. But now, he was actually giving it to him? After regaining his senses, he quickly waved his hand and said, Young master, you can't do this. Chang Shui is the only thing your mother left for you. I'm afraid. But before he could finish, Qin Feiyang smiled and said, You're afraid that I'll lose it? Viper did not deny it. Since you're afraid, then live well. After we meet, you can personally return it to me. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Viper was a little flattered. Since Qin Feiyang gave him Chang Shui, it proved that he trusted him 100%. However, Chang Shui was too important. He was afraid that he could not bear Qin Feiyang's trust. Take it. Don't dawdle. If I hadn't broken through to become a 4-star combat emperor, you wouldn't have a share. Dan Wonkai said disdainfully. Ever since the time rule in the ancient castle changed, Dan Wonkai and Viper had been cultivating. Hence, their cultivation had undergone a huge change. Phew. Viper glanced at Dan Wonkai and took a deep breath. He knelt on one knee and received Chang Shui with both hands. He said solemnly, Young master, don't worry. I will protect Chang Shui with my life. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Then, he drove the ancient castle back the way he came. Chapter 1313. Soon, the castle arrived at the entrance of the canyon. Be careful, Qin Feiyang warned again. And Viper nodded and looked at Gong Sun Bei, asking, Do you know what the Mu family's disciples call Mu Yuan and Mu Dahue? Uncle Yuan. Uncle Hui. Gong Sun Bei said. Send me out. Viper looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and Viper immediately appeared at the entrance of the canyon. Looking at the quiet canyon, Viper let out a long breath and turned into a stream of light, rushing into the canyon. Qin Feiyang also drove the castle and followed beside Viper, just in case. Chirp. Not long after entering the canyon, the bloody falcon suddenly rushed out and blocked in front of Viper. But when it saw Viper's face, it quickly retreated to the side. When it passed by the bloody falcon, Viper nodded at it in a friendly manner. Not long after, Viper panted as he rushed out of the canyon, heading straight for Mu Yuan. Whoosh! At the same time, Mu Yuan suddenly opened his eyes and two sharp lights burst out. But when he looked at Viper, the sharp light in his eyes quickly disappeared. How is it? Did you find any valuable herbs? And Mu Sheng? Why didn't he come back with you? Mu Yuan asked with a smile. Uncle Yuan, we'll talk about this later. Now I have a very important matter to report to you. Viper stopped outside the divine power enchantment and looked at Mu Yuan as he gasped for breath. Mu Yuan was slightly stunned and frowned. What important matter is it that made you so anxious? Uncle Hui is missing, Viper exclaimed. What? Mu Yuan's face immediately changed and he stood up, saying, What happened? Tell me. Not long ago, Mu Sheng and I were looking for herbs, but we suddenly heard the sound of fighting at the entrance. I hurried over to check and found that Uncle Hui was missing. Viper said, Fighting. Mu Yuan's eyes trembled and said, Could it be that some fierce beast accidentally broke into the entrance? I don't know either. Anyway, I've searched the area near the entrance, but I didn't see any trace of Uncle Hui. Viper shook his head. Mu Yuan's face darkened. Uncle Yuan, do you think something will happen to Uncle Hui? Snake asked worriedly. Mu Yuan raised his head to look at Viper and said in a deep voice, Don't panic. This old man will go and take a look personally. After saying that, he took out a golden badge from his chest and pressed it against the void of space. Wong. In the void in front of him, a golden light screen suddenly appeared. The golden token was embedded in the light screen, and a door of light appeared. Now, inside the castle, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He immediately drove the castle into the light gate. Mu Yuan also put away the token and walked out of the light door. It could be said that the castle and Mu Yuan had almost brushed past each other. After the light door closed, Mu Yuan looked at Viper and said, Let's go. Viper glanced at the sky above the city as a glint flashed across his eyes. He then followed behind Mu Yuan and flew towards the entrance. Please don't let anything happen to him. Qin Feiyang looked at Viper's back and muttered. He then drove the castle into the depths of the city. Inside the city, the streets and alleys were filled with people. Not all of them were cultivators here. There were many mortals. After all, the ingredients for the potential pill were too rare. It was impossible to take care of everyone, and the good resources were naturally given to those talented disciples. Qin Feiyang scanned the huge city and asked, Brother Gongsun, are you familiar with the situation in the city? Gongsun Bei shook his head. Then it seems that I have to catch someone and ask. Qin Feiyang muttered as he drove the castle. As he sped along, he searched for a target. This target had to be someone who was timid and afraid of trouble, but at the same time, had a certain level of cultivation, because ordinary mortals wouldn't know too much. A moment later, he drove the castle into a small alley. In the alley, there were more than 10 young men and women. They were surrounding a skinny black-clothed youth. That black-clothed youth had the strength of a 9-star battle king. As for the young men and women surrounding him, the weakest one was a 1-star battle emperor. One of the purple-clothed youth was about 20 years old. He looked at the black-clothed youth in an overbearing manner and shouted, Mu Chun, I'll give you one more chance. Give me the white jade fruit immediately. White jade fruit. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled as he looked at the black-clothed youth in the image. This person actually had the white jade fruit? As for the youth named Mu Chun, he looked at the purple-clothed youth and said, I really don't have the white jade fruit. Can you believe me? You don't have it? Do you think we're fools? I saw with my own eyes that you found a white jade fruit tree in the training ground. And you, not only did you pluck all the white jade fruit, you even dug out the tree. If I'm not wrong, you should be planning to give the white jade fruit tree to the patriarch to receive a reward. Beside the purple-clothed youth, there was a white-clothed girl. She looked at Mu Chun with a cold smile. You must be seeing things. During this period of time, I didn't even go to the training ground, Mu Chun hurriedly said, but he looked a little flustered. Obviously, he was lying. Stubborn. Beat him up. I'll take responsibility for his death or disability. The purple-clothed youth roared. Hearing this, a few young men at the side immediately stepped forward and started to punch and kick Mu-chan. Stop beating me. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Mu-chan wailed. Stop. The purple-clothed youth waved his hand. Trash. You should have handed it over earlier. Why did you have to force us to beat you? The youths looked at Mu-chan with disdain and retreated to the side. One of them was even more outrageous. He even spat on Mu-chan's face. Mu-chan awkwardly got up. He glanced at the group of people and took out the Cosmos bag. Give me the Cosmos bag. The purple-clothed youth stretched out his hand in front of Mu-chan. His attitude was very domineering. Mu-chan's face immediately turned pale. In the Cosmos bag, there were not only the white jade fruit tree and the white jade fruit tree, but also all his belongings. Didn't you hear? Give it to me now. The purple-clothed youth shouted. Mu-chan's gaze trembled. He quickly handed the Cosmos bag to the purple-clothed youth with both hands. The purple-clothed youth smiled proudly. He grabbed the Cosmos bag and looked at Mu-chan with disdain. You want to fight with me? You're really overestimating yourself. Continue to beat him. Let him know the price of angering me. As soon as he finished speaking, the youths next to him swarmed up and beat Mu-chan crazily. You can't do this. I've already given you the Cosmos bag. What else do you want? Mu-chan roared again and again. His face was distorted by the pain. The purple-clothed youth looked at him contemptuously and lowered his head to check the Cosmos bag. Soon, his eyes were full of greed. He looked at the white-clothed woman next to him and smiled. The white jade fruit tree and the white jade fruit tree are really inside. Hearing this, the white-clothed woman immediately beamed with joy. Whoosh! However, at this moment, the group of people only saw a blur in front of them. The next moment, they were shocked to find that they had appeared in a strange stone room. What's going on? Where is this? How do we get in? The group of people turned pale with fright. Hearing the voices of the purple-clothed youth and the others, Mu-chan raised his head suspiciously. His face was suddenly full of surprise. Welcome to my castle. A hearty laugh suddenly sounded from behind them. The group of people suddenly quivered and quickly turned around. They saw a white-clothed youth with his hands behind his back, looking at them with ridicule. You are? The purple-clothed youth looked at the white-clothed youth in surprise. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, his face suddenly changed and he said in surprise, You're Qin Feiyang. It seems that I'm quite popular in your Mu family. Otherwise, not everyone would know me. Qin Feiyang said playfully. It's really Qin Feiyang. Why are you here? The group of people suddenly panicked. Mu-chan curled up in a ball and trembled. Why was he so unlucky today? First, his Cosmos bag was stolen. Now, he met this fiend, Qin Feiyang. Who in the world didn't know of this lawless and terrifying existence? Who didn't know of it? Encountering him was equivalent to encountering the Grim Reaper. Qin Feiyang glanced at the group of people and then looked at Mu-chan. Finally, his eyes locked on the purple-clothed youth and he said, You looked quite impressive just now. Plop. The purple-clothed youth's legs went soft. He directly knelt on the ground and begged, Qin Dage, you and I have no enmity. Please don't kill me. The others also quickly knelt down in fear. He knelt down just like that? Humph. What a trash who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Lu Zheng despised. Isn't this the kind of person we're looking for? Qin Feiyang chuckled and looked at the purple-clothed youth and said, I can spare your life, but it depends on your performance. Speak. As long as I know, I will tell you everything I know without reserve. The purple-clothed youth nodded repeatedly. First, give me Mu-chan's Cosmos back. Qin Feiyang said. Yes, yes, yes. The purple-clothed youth hurriedly handed it over. Qin Feiyang grabbed it in his hand and threw it to Dan Wangkai, saying, See if there are any white jade fruits. After Dan Wangkai caught the Cosmos bag, he immediately lowered his head to check. His eyes shone with green light. Soon, Dan Wangkai looked up at Qin Feiyang and nodded. There are 3 white jade fruits and a white jade fruit tree inside. Very good. Qin Feiyang smiled happily. Not only did he get a stalk of shenine grass, But he also got 3 white jade fruits. More importantly, there was a white jade fruit tree. With this white jade fruit tree, it meant that he would have an inexhaustible supply of white jade fruits in the future. This trip to the Mu family was really a big gain. Qin Feiyang looked down at the purple-clothed youth and said, "Now answer me, how many false gods do you have? How many 9-star combat emperors?" The purple-clothed youth's expression stiffened and he smiled bitterly. "I'm just a 2-star combat emperor. How would I know these things?" Qin Feiyang looked at the others. Everyone shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Then where do your patriarch and your great ancestor live?" "I know this. Patriarch and great ancestor live in the sacred mountain." Chapter 13:14. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is the sacred mountain?" 10 miles away from the south of the city, there is a mountain range. All the people above the War Emperor are there. The purple-clothed youth said. Qin Feiyang controlled the ancient castle and flew above the city. With a wave of his hand, the image in front of him began to move. Soon, the image locked onto the south of the city. There was indeed a mountain range there. The mountain peaks towered into the clouds, imposing and majestic. And in the mountain stream, one could vaguely see a magnificent palace, exuding an ancient aura. Qin Feiyang glanced at the mountain range, then looked at the purple-clothed youth, and asked, "Where is the training ground?" The white jade fruit was found by Mu Chun in the training ground, which meant that there might be other treasures in the training ground. The training ground is outside the north of the city. It is a place for us ordinary disciples to train. The purple-clothed youth said. North of the city. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and the image in the air began to move again, locking onto the north of the city. Outside the city, there was a dense forest, covering an area of more than 100 miles, with ancient trees towering into the sky. Qin Feiyang asked, "Are there many treasures in the training ground? For example, treasures like the white jade fruit?" The training ground is mainly to train our combat ability and cultivate combat awareness. There are not many treasures, but if you are lucky, you can encounter some, the purple-clothed youth said. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and asked, "Is there anyone guarding the training ground?" "No." The purple-clothed youth shook his head. In fact, thinking about it, not only was there a 3-layer illusion at the entrance, even the city was protected by a divine barrier. It was impossible for outsiders to sneak in, and the training ground was not an important place. Why would there be a need for experts to guard it? Qin Feiyang's mind became active. Wait, there were not many treasures in the training ground. If he specifically asked people to find them, it would be a waste of time. It would be better, go directly to the Mu family's medicine field. The Mu family was isolated from the world and had mastered the alchemy scripture. They must have cultivated a medicine field. Moreover, after thousands of years of accumulation and precipitation, the Mu family's medicine field must be amazing. Where is your medicinal field? Qin Feiyang asked the purple-clothed youth. Herbal field? The purple-clothed youth was slightly taken aback. He shook his head and said, "I really don't know about this. I only know that it is indeed a medicinal field." "What's the point of keeping you if you don't know anything?" With a wave of his hand, Lu Zheng sliced off the purple-clothed youth's neck, causing blood to gush out. Bang! The purple-clothed youth fell to the ground, dead. His eyes were filled with rage and fear before his death. Seeing this scene, the man called Mu Chun, the white-clothed woman, and the others all turned deathly pale from fright. "We really don't know where the herbal field is. Qindage, please spare us. If you really want to know, you can go to the sacred mountain to take a look." Because the herb field is most likely to be in the sacred mountain, the group of people were terrified. Sacred mountain, Qin Feiyang murmured as killing intent flashed in his eyes. He turned to Dan Wangkai and said, "Bring them to the ancient pagoda and finish them off." "All right." Dan Wangkai nodded his head. The group of people suddenly collapsed to the ground in despair. 2 of them even peed in their pants. Ancient pagoda? Gongsun Bei's eyes were filled with suspicion. "Where is this place?" Mu Chun suddenly said, "Qindage, don't kill me. I know where the herbal field is. I can take you there." Qin Feiyang was stunned and turned to look at Mu Chen. Mu Chen said, I don't dare lie to you. I really know. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Dan Wangkai, the white-clothed woman, and the purple-clothed youth's corpse instantly disappeared from the ancient castle. Then, Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Chen and said, Tell me, where is the herbal field? Mu Chen said, The herbal field is not in the sacred mountain. It is deep in the mountains east of the city. How do you know? Qin Feiyang frowned. This person was only a 9-star battle king. In the entire Mu clan, he belonged to the lowest class. How could he know the location of the herbal field? There must be something fishy going on. Mu Chen said, I used to work as a waiter in a restaurant. I accidentally heard the young lord and a friend chatting. They happened to talk about the herbal field. Young lord? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, Are you talking about Mu Qing? Yes, that's him. Mu Chen nodded, but when he mentioned Mu Qing, there was a trace of hatred in his eyes. However, Qin Feiyang was able to clearly sense that hatred. He suddenly showed a trace of curiosity and asked, Is there any grudge between you and Mu Qing? Mu Chen was stunned and said in surprise, How do you know? Although you want to hide the hatred in your heart, you are still too young. When you mention Mu Qing, the hatred in your eyes can't be completely hidden. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Mu Chen's eyes trembled and bowed. Seeing is better than hearing. Qindage is really the #1 person among the younger generation. Mu Chen admires you. Qin Feiyang said, Don't think that I will let you go just because you flatter me. Mu Chen said, I don't ask Qindage to let me go. I only ask Qindage to do me a favor and kill Mu Qing. He is the young lord of your Mu clan. You want to kill him? Why is that? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Since I was young, my family was poor. In order to eat and wear, I had to work as a waiter in a restaurant. But once, when I was walking, I accidentally bumped into him. Because of this, he actually destroyed my qi. And he even asked the restaurant owner to drive me out. I am the only child in my family. My parents put their hopes on me. Since I was young, in order to train me, they desperately went out to earn money. They even exchanged all the valuable things at home for elixirs for my cultivation. But because of an unintentional mistake, all of this went up in smoke. Of course, I was not convinced and went to the patriarch to reason with him. Mu Chen said angrily. And the result? Qin Feiyang asked. In the end, not only did the patriarch not see me, he even asked someone to drive me out. Coincidentally, I met Mu Qing at the door. He knew that I went to the patriarch to reason with him, so he flew into a rage out of humiliation. He forced me to take the disaster elixir and turned me into a real cripple. The most outrageous thing was that he even spread the word that no one was allowed to give me the marrow-cleansing elixir. Mu Chen roared, his eyes were bloodshot. Disaster elixir. Qin Feiyang was a little surprised. Interesting, he said. Continue. Later, when my parents learned about this, it was like a bolt from the blue. They were depressed all day. Not long after, they both died. I lost my cultivation and my parents. During that time, I drowned my sorrows in alcohol, feeling that there was no hope in life. In the end, I chose to kill myself. I went to the training ground because there were many fierce beasts there. For a cripple like me who had no cultivation, once I stepped into the training ground, it was like stepping into hell. But when I entered the training ground and was ready to die, a miracle happened. When Mu Chen said this, a bright light burst out from his eyes. What miracle? Lu Zheng was curious. I suddenly heard the sound of fighting nearby, so I curiously ran over to have a look. In the end, I found 2 3-star combat emperors fighting over a purple spirit flower. Mu Chen said, Purple spirit flower. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Not only was there the white jade fruit, but there was also the purple spirit flower. It seemed like the Mu family's nest was a big treasure. Lu Zheng glanced at Qin Feiyang, then looked at Mu Chen and said, Let me guess what happened next. The 2 3-star combat emperors fought over the purple spirit flower, and in the end, you got the purple spirit flower. And you took the purple spirit flower and exchanged it with someone for a marrow-cleansing pill. From then on, you started your cultivation journey again. Lu Zheng said, You guessed the first part correctly. They did die together, and I also got the purple spirit flower, but I also got their chinkuan pouches. And in their chinkuan pouches, there were a lot of chi gathering pills, body tempering pills, battle chi pills, 2 marrow cleansing pills, and 3 potential pills. At that time, I knew that the heavens didn't want me to die. So I immediately used the marrow cleansing pill to expel the poison of the spiritual disaster pill. Later, I used these pills to cultivate desperately, and now I have finally recovered the cultivation of a 9-star combat emperor. Mu Chen said. Qin Feiyang asked, what was your cultivation before you were crippled? 8-star combat emperor. Mu Chen said, not bad. Qin Feiyang smiled in surprise and said, what about the purple spirit flower? With the purple spirit flower, he could prepare to refine the great creation pill. This was because he had the most important herbs, the fruit of fortune, white jade fruit, dark yin grass, and dark yang grass. He only lacked the purple spirit flower. As for the other herbs, they were all ready-made. I gave the purple spirit flower to Mu Qing. Although Mu Qing and I have a deep hatred, I know that I can only be reborn by pleasing him. Mu Chen said, you're quite smart. As the young master of the Mu family, Mu Qing has a high position and power. Even if you got the marrow cleansing pill, he could force you to take the spiritual disaster pill again. Qin Feiyang said, yes. When I gave him the purple spirit flower, he was very happy and never came to find trouble with me again. He even took care of me. On the surface, I also flattered him and said that I had forgotten my hatred, but secretly, I had been looking for opportunities, but I was too weak. In front of him, I couldn't find a chance at all. Mu Chen laughed at himself. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I didn't expect this guy to have such a side. This is a little different from the Mu Qing I know. Speaking of which, during that time, he was indeed different. In the past, he was very good and rarely got angry, but during that time, his temper was very bad, and he would fight without saying a word. Many of our clansmen have suffered losses at his hands, Qin Lai said. Mu Chen said. Qin Feiyang stared blankly and asked doubtfully, when? It seems to be, Mu Chen thought carefully and said, yes, it was the time when demon child ancestor died. Qin Feiyang was stunned, then shook his head and smiled, saying, I understand. Of course, he remembered demon child. At that time, in Yinwei's tribe, he did evil and was finally killed by the mysterious madam. It was also at that time that Mu Qing began to have a murderous intent towards him. If there was no accident, it must be because of the death of demon child that Mu Qing's temperament changed greatly, so he made a big fuss over such a small matter and destroyed Mu Chen's cultivation. In other words, at that time, Mu Qing was purely venting his anger on Mu Chen. Chapter 13-15. Because, if he hadn't found the mysterious lady to kill the demon child, then Mu Qing wouldn't have vented his anger on Mu Chen. This was just to prove the old saying, I didn't kill Boren, but Boren died because of me. It was just that Mu Chen was lucky and didn't die. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered, and suddenly there was a flash of light in his eyes. He looked at Mu Chen and said, I can help you get revenge, but you have to pay the price. No matter what the price is, I'm willing to pay it. Mu Chen said without hesitation. Qin Feiyang said, become my shadow and kill all those who come to offend me. This person's life experience was somewhat similar to his, so he couldn't help but feel compassion. Mu Chen's face changed. Becoming Qin Feiyang's shadow was equivalent to becoming a killing blade in Qin Feiyang's hand. In this way, wouldn't he be an enemy of the Mu family? Although he hated Mu Qing, hated the patriarch, and hated those who had bullied him, the blood of the Mu family flowed in his body after all. It was still difficult for him to give up the Mu family. I won't force you. Think about it yourself. But I can tell you very clearly that if you don't agree, even if I don't kill you today, you will never have a chance to take revenge on Mu Qing. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Mu Chen asked cautiously, if I don't agree, you really won't kill me? You don't think I'm such a kind person, do you? Qin Feiyang laughed. Mu Chen looked flustered and said with a wry smile, then do I have a choice? No. Either die or become a sharp blade in my hand. Qin Feiyang said. Mu Chen lowered his head, and his face was uncertain. You should be honored. You see, there are so many people around Qin Feiyang. Who is qualified to be his shadow? No one. You're the first, Lu Zheng said with an evil smile. Mu Qin glanced at Lu Zheng, then looked at Qin Feiyang. Finally, he gritted his teeth and knelt on one knee, respectfully saying, Mu Qian greets the Lord. Qin Feiyang smiled. What could be more interesting than using a descendant of the Mu family to deal with Mu Tianyang? I don't like the surname Mu. From now on, you will change your surname to Qin. You will be called Qin Shun. Qin Feiyang formed a seal with both of his hands, and an enslavement seal appeared. It entered Mu Qin's head and quickly took control of Mu Qin's soul. Mu. Qin Shun greets the Lord. Mu Qin said respectfully. That was not right. Now, they were already calling him Qin Shun. Qin Feiyang nodded in satisfaction and glanced at Wang Xiaojie. Wait for me here. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang said to Lu Zhang and Gong Sunbei. Then, he led Qin Qin and Wang Xiaojie into the ancient tower and descended above the village. Wang Xiaojie looked at the village and asked suspiciously, Master, what are you doing? Qin Qin, on the other hand, looked around suspiciously. What was this place? Qin Feiyang did not answer and said loudly, Elder Wang, come out and see me. Swoosh. Before his voice faded, Wang Yangfeng rushed out of the village like lightning and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. He bowed and said, Greetings, young master. Qin Feiyang pointed at Qin Qin and Wang Xiaojie and said with a smile, These two people, I will leave them to you now. And? Wang Yangfeng looked at the two of them suspiciously and asked, Why are you leaving them to me? To train them. Just like how the Grand Valley Master and Grand Valley Master trained you, I want to see them reborn in the shortest time possible. Even if they know that they are going to die, they will not hesitate at all. Qin Feiyang said. This, Wang Xiaojie's expression changed. He grabbed Qin Feiyang's hand and said, Master, there is no need for this disciple to do this. Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly, It is because you are my disciple that I have to let you suffer more. Because I don't want to collect your corpse in the future. Wang Xiaojie immediately drooped his head, looking sullen. Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said to Wang Yangfeng, Torture them as much as you want. Don't show mercy. Wang Yangfeng shook his head and smiled. He cupped his hands and said, This old man obeys. Whoosh. At this time, Dan Wangkai rushed out from the mountain stream below and came in front of Qin Feiyang. He looked at Wang Xiaojie and Qin Shun and asked in confusion, Why did you bring them here? Qin Feiyang did not answer and asked, Have you dealt with it? Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Dan Wangkai nodded. Then let's go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and brought Dan Wangkai back to the castle. Qin Qin, once a subject, always a subject. Little cousin, you are ambitious. As soon as he saw Qin Feiyang appear, Lu Zheng said meaningfully. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said suspiciously, What ambition can I have? Still pretending? What does this subject represent? It represents the subject. You changed Mu Qin's name to Qin Shun. Doesn't it show that you are still interested in the throne of the great Qin Empire? Lu Zheng joked. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. This guy's imagination was really rich. He had never thought about the throne of the great Qin Empire. And he changed Mu Qin's name to Qin Qin purely because the pronunciation of Qin was similar. He was too lazy to think about other names. However, he was too lazy to explain. Whoosh! He drove the castle and flew to the mountains east of the city. Mu Qin? Qin Qin? Dan Wangkai heard the conversation between the two and was stunned. Then, he went to the side of the black dragon snake and whispered, When I left just now, did something happen? And Boss Qin has recruited another subordinate. The black dragon snake secretly said. There are more and more people under the young master. You have to work hard. Otherwise, in the future, your status in front of the young master will be lower and lower. Dan Wangkai secretly laughed. Aren't you the same? The black dragon snake rolled his eyes. Me? Dan Wangkai was stunned and secretly laughed. I am different from you. Because I am an alchemist, I am only responsible for alchemy. Killing the enemy is your responsibility. After saying that, Dan Wangkai turned and walked to the front of the furnace and continued to refine pills. The black dragon, snake, and the other beasts looked at each other and felt great pressure. Qin Feiyang grew too fast. They really couldn't keep up with him. Not long after, the ancient castle flew out of the city and entered the mountains. Lu Zheng looked at the scene in front of him and frowned. You don't want to rob the medicine field now, do you? Of course not now. Going to the medicine field now is just to find out the situation first. When we leave, we can find an opportunity to make a move. Qin Feiyang said. Lu Zheng said, I think the medicine field is such an important place. There must be someone guarding it. Maybe there is even a fake god. A fake god is not invulnerable. We can always find an opportunity. Qin Feiyang smiled confidently. Listening to the calm conversation between the two, Gongsun Bei's heart was surging. These two brats are too scary. They didn't even let go of the Mu family's medicine field. The ancient castle moved as fast as lightning. About 500 to 600 breaths passed. Finally, in the scene in front of them, a vast plain appeared. The plain was vast and boundless, and on the plain, the medicinal herbs swayed in the wind, exuding a hazy glow. Qin Feiyang was extremely excited. Lu Zheng's face was also filled with excitement, and Dan Wangkai was so excited that he almost couldn't breathe. At a glance, it was all medicinal herbs. It was impossible to count them. Moreover, most of the medicinal herbs seen so far were 10,000 years old. However, the medicinal herbs on the periphery of the medicine field were basically some ordinary medicinal herbs. Qin Feiyang drove the ancient castle and flew into the depths of the medicine field. And as they went deeper, such as blood ginseng, fire ginseng, 9 suns flower, dragon saliva fruit, red fire glass pill, these more precious medicinal herbs also entered their sight one by one. Unknowingly, they had already gone dozens of miles into the medicine field. Suddenly, Dan Wangcai's eyes widened, staring at a certain place in the picture, and said in surprise, No way, is that the Tree of Fortune? Huh. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng looked along, and their faces were full of disbelief. In the picture, there was a big tree more than 10 meters tall. The trunk of the big tree was as thick as 2 buckets, and it was dark all over. There were 3 thick branches on it, and each leaf on the branches was as big as a cattail leaf fan, emitting a hazy black light. It looked exactly the same as the Tree of Fortune. Zoom in, Dan Wangkai shouted. Qin Feiyang quivered and came back to his senses. With a wave of his hand, the picture kept zooming in. When it finally stopped, everyone could see clearly, and even the lines on the tree could be seen clearly. What else could it be but the Tree of Fortune? And on the 3 branches, there were more than 3 fruits of fortune. 5, 15, 30. Oh my God, there are a total of 30 fruits of fortune. Dan Wangkai stared at the Tree of Fortune, and the greed and desire in his eyes were undisguised. For him, nothing was more important than medicinal herbs, especially such rare treasures of heaven and earth. Young master, I beg you, you must get it, you must. He suddenly turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang. His hands were clenched tightly together, and his breathing was rapid as he enunciated each word. I will. Qin Feiyang nodded. Putting aside the value of the fruits of fortune, this Tree of Fortune was more than 10 times bigger than the one in the ancient pagoda. One could imagine how terrifying the energy emitted by this Tree of Fortune was. If it could be transplanted to the ancient pagoda, the villagers would benefit even more. Because the energy emitted by the Tree of Fortune could change a person's physique and talent. Wait, look at the back of the Tree of Fortune. There seems to be a person? Lu Zheng frowned. A person? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. He looked over and seemed to be able to see the silhouette of a person, but because the Tree of Fortune was too thick, he could not see everything. He steered the ancient castle toward the other side of the Tree of Fortune. As expected, an old man sat cross-legged under the Tree of Fortune. He was wearing a snow-white robe. His body was hunched, and his hair was white. However, he wore a mask on his face, so his true appearance could not be seen. His aura was as unfathomable as the ocean. It's him. Gongsun Bei's expression changed. Who? Is he very strong? Lu Zheng was surprised. Qin Feiyang's expression also darkened. Very strong. It is said that he has stepped into the peak of the false god realm. He was no stranger to this white-robed old man, because this was the person who had chased him to the glacier forest, and the snow python had snatched the real space-time gate from this person. Chapter 13:16. The Peak of the False God Realm. Lu Zheng was dumbfounded. Didn't this mean that this person was only one step away from stepping into the true war god realm? Gongsun Bei shook his head and smiled. With him here, it's impossible for you to rob the herb field. There's nothing impossible in this world. Qin Feiyang murmured. Look, there's a purple spirit flower. Dan Wonkai suddenly roared again. He was so excited that his hands and feet were dancing. Calm down, calm down. Qin Feiyang patted Dan Wangcai's shoulder. There were indeed many precious herbs around the Tree of Fortune. For example, the various herbs of the Great Creation Pill and the various herbs of the Spirit Congealing Pill, however. Most of the herbs were ranked at the bottom. There were not many rare herbs like the purple spirit flower and the spiritual infant fruit that were ranked at the top. But even so, it was still very shocking. Let's go to the sacred mountain. Qin Feiyang glanced at the old man in the white robe, then drove the castle back the way it came and rushed towards the south of the city. The most important thing now was to figure out the Mu family's background. As long as he figured out this, he could make a plan to rob the herb field. The sacred mountain. The mountain range was majestic and magnificent. On top of a certain mountain, there was a huge palace. The palace was more than 100 feet high, golden and magnificent, extraordinary. At this moment, in the main hall, a middle-aged man was squatting on the throne, wearing a purple and gold robe. His eyebrows were like swords, and he was majestic without being angry. This person was Mu Qing's father, the head of the Mu family. Below, Mu Yuan and Viper stood respectfully. The head of the Mu family glanced at the two, and finally looked at Mu Yuan. He said in a deep voice, "Are you sure Mu Dahui is missing?" This old man went to check it personally. It's absolutely true. Moreover, this old man has investigated the area within a few hundred miles outside the entrance, and finally found traces of a battle in a valley. I think not only Mu Dahui, but also Mu Shang is probably dead, Mu Yuan said. Who dares to touch the Mu family? The head of the Mu family was furious. Patriarch, please calm down. Right now, the first thing we need to investigate is, did this perpetrator accidentally barge into the Fire Phoenix mountain range, or did he deliberately come here? Mu Yuan said. What do you mean? The Mu Jia's lord frowns. If it's unintentional, then it's fine. However, if it's deliberate, it means that someone wants to harm our Mu family. Furthermore, this person knows our Mu family like the back of his hand. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to find our Mu family's entrance. Mu Yuan said. The Mu Jia lord's heart sank. Then, in your opinion, is this person unintentional or deliberate? This old man doesn't dare to speak carelessly. But so far, this old man has yet to discover anyone infiltrating this place. Mu Yuan shook his head. The Mu Jia's lord raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Viper. Mu Xing, tell me the details of the situation at that time. Yes. Viper replied respectfully. Then, he used his silver tongue to weave an incomparably realistic story. And then there was Qin Feiyang. At this moment, he was already in the air above the sacred mountain. The sacred mountain was huge. The mountains rose and fell, and the rivers surged. There were also many ferocious beasts in the mountain streams. Among them, there were 10 giant peaks that were particularly eye-catching. The 10 giant peaks were like 2 giant hands, standing in the middle of the sacred mountain. The lowest one was 50 to 60,000 feet high, and it was magnificent. And on top of the 10 giant peaks, Qin Feiyang could sense countless powerful auras. These auras were not the auras of ferocious beasts, but the auras of humans. And without exception, all of them were the auras of combat emperors. From 1-star combat emperors to 7-star combat emperors. At the top of each of the 10 mountains, there was an ancient stone tower. These 10 stone towers had 10 floors, and they were completely black. There was no sense of luxury, but they were like 10 ancient giant beasts lying on top of the mountain, giving people a heart-palpitating aura. Lu Zheng glanced at the 10 stone towers and frowned. They don't look like divine weapons. Gongsun Bei, do you know what's inside the 10 stone towers? Gongsun Bei shook his head. The 10 giant peaks can only sense the auras of 1-star combat emperors and 7-star combat emperors. Then where are the Mu family's 8-star combat emperors, 9-star combat emperors, and false gods? Lu Zheng frowned. Suddenly, his body shook, and he looked at the 10 stone towers again. He said in surprise, they can't be inside, right? It's possible. Qin Feiyong thought. Lu Zheng said, let's go and take a look. Qin Feiyong controlled the ancient castle, cut through the sky, and landed in front of one of the ancient towers. There were no carvings or patterns on the ancient tower, and it was very simple. The tower door was closed, and there was no one guarding in front of it. There was not even a shadow nearby, and it was very quiet. I'll go out and take a look. Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered, and he suddenly said, don't. Hearing Qin Feiyong's words, Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei quickly grabbed him. One had to know. This was the Mu family's sacred mountain. All the experts of the Mu family were here. What if they were discovered? At that time, they were afraid that the saying would come true, and even the heavens would not be able to save them. Lu Zheng thought for a moment and suggested, let the Spirit Snake Emperor go out. It can be invisible, so it's relatively safe. Qin Feiyong turned to look at the Spirit Snake Emperor. But the Spirit Snake Emperor pretended not to hear. What a joke. Only a fool would go for such a dangerous thing. Ahem. Qin Feiyong of course knew that the Spirit Snake Emperor was pretending. He clenched his fist, put it to his mouth, and said with a smile, don't worry, I will come to your rescue. The Spirit Snake Emperor opened its eyes and said angrily, why do I have to go every time there is such a dangerous thing? It can't be helped. Who asked you to be so strong? Only you can do it. Qin Feiyong laughed. The Spirit Snake Emperor said angrily, so, according to you, being strong is also a kind of fault? No, no, no. Being strong means that you are powerful. Capable people do more work. Don't worry, I will be here to help you at any time. I guarantee that you will not be hurt. Qin Feiyong said solemnly. My head hurts. The Spirit Snake Emperor shook its head and got up reluctantly. It rolled its eyes at Qin Feiyong and said, send me out. Thanks. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and the Spirit Snake Emperor immediately appeared in front of the pagoda door. The color of its skin changed immediately, and it merged with the ground in an instant. Lu Zheng was amazed and said enviously, how good would it be if I had such an ability? Then you should quickly go and report to the underworld. When you reincarnate, give the King of Hell some benefits. He will definitely satisfy you. Wolf King joked. Get lost. Lu Zheng's face darkened. Wasn't this cursing him to die early? Then, he looked at the Spirit Snake Emperor. It slowly approached the door of the pagoda, then raised its tail and tried to push the door. However, just as the Spirit Snake Emperor's tail touched the door, the entire stone pagoda buzzed and a black light screen appeared. It seemed to have triggered some kind of mechanism. Not only was the Spirit Snake Emperor shocked, but Qin Feiyong and the others in the castle were also shocked. Qin Feiyong quickly waved his hand and prepared to help the Spirit Snake Emperor. However, Lu Zheng suddenly stopped him and said in a low voice, we can't let it in now. If someone appears later and finds that there is no one here, they will definitely be suspicious. That's true. Qin Feiyong muttered and said to the Spirit Snake Emperor telepathically, quickly change your appearance and pretend to be a beast here and escape down the mountain. Fuck. Didn't you say that you would help me? The Spirit Snake Emperor was furious, but it did not dare to hesitate. It immediately changed the color of its skin and turned into a half-meter long green snake and rushed to the edge of the cliff. Right at this moment, the door of the pagoda opened and a burly middle-aged man strode out. His aura had reached the level of a 9-star combat emperor. His eyes were sharp as he scanned the area in front of him and quickly found the Spirit Snake Emperor. The Spirit Snake Emperor had just reached the edge of the cliff. Damn beast! How dare you come here and cause trouble? The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with killing intent. Hearing this, Qin Feiyong's face changed, and he quickly controlled the castle to fly toward the Spirit Snake Emperor. At the same time, sensing the middle-aged man's terrifying aura, the spirit serpent emperor hurriedly leaped into the underbrush below the cliff and disappeared. What happened? Just as the middle-aged man was about to chase after the spirit snake emperor, another old man walked out of the pagoda. This old man had a hunched back and his long hair was messy. He was wearing an old yellow robe and there was no aura around him. He looked inconspicuous. However, when he looked at the old man, the middle-aged man, who was a 9-star combat emperor, had a respectful expression. A green snake just came in. It must have touched the door and caused the stone pagoda to sound the alarm. The middle-aged man said. The old man nodded and waved his hand. It's just a beast. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded. Whoosh. At this moment, the Mu family head and Mu Yuan arrived in front of the stone pagoda. The Mu family head glanced at the stone pagoda in surprise and asked, "Why did the stone pagoda react?" "Nothing. It's just a blind beast that came to cause trouble, and now it has been scared away," the old man said with a smile. Oh, the Mu family head and the middle-aged man were relieved. What's wrong? Why do you look so nervous? The old man and the middle-aged man looked at the two in confusion. The Mu family head sighed. Not long ago, something big happened at our entrance, so now I'm very uneasy. What's the big deal? The old man frowned. The Mu family head said, Mu Dahui and a child named Mu Sheng, who were guarding the entrance, met with an accident not long ago. What? The old man's face changed and said, Tell me clearly. The Mu Jia's lord briefly explained the matter. They actually hurt my Mu family's people. They're simply courting death. The old man was furious. He asked, Did you find the culprit? No. The Mu family head shook his head. The old man shouted, Then quickly send someone to investigate. And you, Mu Yuan, be sure to keep an eye on the barrier. If you find anyone suspicious, don't say anything. Kill them first and report later. His tone was full of murderous intent. Yes. Mu Yuan bowed and replied, Then go quickly, especially the main pagoda. Focus on investigating. Because in the entire Forgotten Continent, only the people in the main pagoda know the address of the Mu family. Chapter 13:17. Good. Mu Jia's lord nodded and turned away. But suddenly he seemed to think of something. He turned to look at the old man and frowned. 8 days ago, Qin Feiyang entered the Central Divine Kingdom. Could this matter have something to do with him? What did you say? Qin Feiyang is back? The old man looked at him in surprise. Yes. At that time in the Pill Tower Square, many people saw it with their own eyes. Mu Jia's lord said. Then where is he now? The old man asked. As soon as he entered the Central Divine Kingdom, he never appeared again. Now no one knows where he is. Mu Jia's lord said, Why did this little beast suddenly return to the Forgotten Continent? The old man lowered his head. His brows were tightly knitted. There was an indescribable irritation in his heart. If Qin Feiyang didn't come back, then this matter would be easy to investigate. But Qin Feiyang's return made the whole thing complicated. That's right. The old man suddenly thought of something. He looked up at the Mu Jia's lord and asked, Did you find Qing'er? No. Mu Jia's lord shook his head. Then what have you been doing all this time? Why can't you find a living person? The old man was furious and fiercely reprimanded. Mu Jia's lord bowed his head. He didn't dare to refute. And you? The old man looked at Mu Yuan again and said angrily, When Qing'er left, why didn't you ask clearly and then open the divine barrier and let him go? Do you know how important Qing'er is to our Mu Jia? Like this time, if Qing'er was here, even if Qin Feiyang hid at the end of the world, we would still be able to find him with the divine eye. We wouldn't be so passive. The old man was very angry. The two didn't dare to say a word. It seems that the old man's prestige in the Mu Jia is very high. The old man said in a deep voice, I'm telling you, no matter what price you have to pay, you must find Qing'er for me, otherwise, I will hold you responsible. Get out. The two's body trembled. They quickly turned around and left. Trash. Looking at the backs of the two people, the old man snorted with dissatisfaction. The middle-aged man next to him retracted his gaze and comforted him. Old Hai, don't worry. Although Qing is young, she's smart. There shouldn't be any accidents. I hope so. The old man sighed. Back then, in order to investigate the whereabouts of Renduxing, Qin Feiyang entered the Forgotten Continent. In order to take revenge, Mu Qing used her all-seeing eye at all times to predict Qin Feiyang's location. As such, when Qin Feiyang had entered the Forgotten Continent, Mu Qing had immediately predicted his arrival and immediately headed to the glacier forest. At that time, the gate of time and space was robbed, and the second grandmaster of the Mu clan was killed. This caused him to almost lose his mind. Therefore, when he left, he did not tell anyone that he was going to find Qin Feiyang. Therefore now, the Mu family only knew that Mu Qing was missing. They didn't know that Mu Qing had fallen into the hands of Qin Feiyang. They also didn't know that Mu Qing was now by Lu Xingqian's side. In fact, they had also suspected that Mu Qing had gone to the Great Qin Empire to find Qin Feiyang for revenge. After all, when they were fighting for the divine crystal, Qin Feiyang had caused their Mu family to suffer heavy losses. Mu Qing definitely couldn't take this lying down. But there was nothing they could do. The gate of time and space was stolen. The teleportation altar was guarded by the snow python. They couldn't send anyone to the Great Qin Empire to investigate. So until today, the Mu family was still searching for Mu Qing everywhere in the Forgotten Continent. They were even wondering if Mu Qing had met with misfortune. Otherwise, why hadn't she returned for so long? At the same time, Qin Feiyang also found the spirit snake emperor in the underbrush at the bottom of the cliff and brought it into the castle. What are you doing? Do you know that I almost died? As soon as it entered the castle, the spirit snake emperor roared in dissatisfaction. Aren't we fine? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. That's because I was lucky. The spirit snake emperor snorted. Qin Feiyang said helplessly, We've known each other for so long. Don't you trust me? If your life was really in danger, I wouldn't leave you alone even if I had to expose my whereabouts. Who knows what's in a person's heart? The spirit snake emperor snorted and lay on the ground, closing its eyes and meditating. It would never do such a dangerous thing again. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. He controlled the castle and flew to the top of the mountain. Immediately, he saw Old Hai and the middle-aged man entering the stone tower. The door of the tower slowly closed. However, it wasn't completely closed. Lu Jing asked, This is a good opportunity. Do you want to go in? Gong Sunbei said, But if you go in, it'll be difficult to come out. Think carefully. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's go in. Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and controlled the castle. At the last moment before the door closed, he flew into the stone tower. What entered his vision was a staircase that led to the top floor. Beside the staircase, there was a wide corridor. The floor was covered with gray stone tiles, clean and bright. On both sides of the corridor, there was a closed stone door every 10 meters. Just inside the stone door, Qin Feiyang and the others could clearly feel a terrifying aura. 8-star combat emperors. Obviously, behind the stone door, there were many cultivation rooms. Lu Zhang said in a low voice, The Mu family's 8-star combat emperors are indeed all cultivating in the stone tower. Qin Feiyang controlled the castle and flew down the corridor. Gradually, his expression turned solemn, because the first floor of the stone tower had 50 cultivation rooms. Moreover, there were people in each cultivation room. In other words, just the first floor alone had 58-star combat emperors. He controlled the castle and returned to the front door, flying towards the second floor. The second floor also had 50 cultivation rooms and 58-star combat emperors. The third floor, the fourth floor, the fifth floor, the sixth and seventh floors were the same. In other words, there were a total of 358-star combat emperors on the seventh floor. Gong Sunbei's expression became extremely serious. Next, Qin Feiyang flew to the 8th and 9th floor. These two floors were even more shocking. There were also 50 cultivation rooms, but the aura that came out from them were all 9-star combat emperors. This is too scary, Dan Wangkai muttered to himself. One had to know. Now, aside from the 9-star combat emperors, there were only 18 9-star combat emperors around Qin Feiyang. And here, just in this stone tower alone, there were 109 star combat emperors, not to mention the 9 stone towers outside. There was no comparison at all. The Mu family's foundation was too scary. Phew! Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He let out a long breath and controlled the castle to fly to the 10th floor. Elder Hai's cultivation room was on the 10th floor. But when they entered the 10th floor, Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. There were 50 cultivation rooms here, but they couldn't sense any aura. If they hadn't seen Elder Hai enter one of the cultivation rooms with their own eyes, they would have thought that there was no one here. No. Lu Zheng suddenly thought of something and his body trembled. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at him in surprise. Lu Zheng said, there are people in these 50 cultivation rooms, but their auras have all disappeared. We can't sense them. What does this mean? Gongsun Bei said, I understand. Qin Feiyang suddenly spoke, his eyes flashing. What do you understand? Gongsun Bei looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, the people in these 50 cultivation rooms have reached the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm. That's right. Their goal now is to become a god. So now, they must be comprehending the ultimacy of becoming a god. Although I don't understand what's going on, when the elders in my clan are comprehending the ultimacy of becoming a god, their auras will all disappear. Lu Zheng said in a deep voice, now that you've reminded me, I remember it too. The experts in my main pagoda, who have reached the peak of the 9-star combat emperor realm, also don't have any aura when they cultivate, so they're comprehending the ultimacy of becoming a god. Gongsun Bei said in realization, that's not the point. The point is, there are 358-star combat emperors, 109-star combat emperors, and 50 peak 9-star combat emperors in this stone pagoda. Do you know how terrifying this force is? They can destroy a super tribe with a wave of their hand. Lu Zheng roared. Hearing Lu Zheng's words, both Gongsun Bei and Qin Feiyang fell silent. No one would have thought that the Mu family's foundation was so terrifying. It was so terrifying that it made people despair. Don't forget, there are still 9 stone pagodas outside. If the situation in the 9 stone pagodas is the same as here, then I'll tell you that no one can shake the Mu family. Lu Zheng shook his head and sneered. Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at each other and felt bitter. If the other 9 stone pagodas were the same as here, then the peak 9-star combat emperors would be the same as the 8-star combat emperors and 9-star combat emperors. 10 ancient pagodas meant there were 500 of them. 500 super experts. This was not something they could handle at all. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and asked, Brother Gongsun, how is the main pagoda's foundation now? Gongsun Bei smiled bitterly. The main pagoda doesn't have the potential pill, so it's definitely not as good as the Mu family. What about the specifics? Qin Feiyang asked. It's not convenient to disclose the specifics. I can only tell you that our main pagoda is not even 1/5 of the Mu family's. Gongsun Bei sighed. Qin Feiyang's heart sank. After thousands of years of cultivation, the Mu family had grown to a point where no one could catch up to them. Gongsun Bei asked, what about the Great Qin Empire? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Lu Zheng said, the Great Qin Empire's foundation is similar to the main pagodas. If we really want to go to war with the Mu family, 3 forces must join forces. Which 3 forces? Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei looked at him suspiciously. Lu Zheng said, the main pagoda, the Great Qin Empire, and my Lu family. That's impossible. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Lu Zheng said, when it comes to a matter of life and death, nothing is impossible. That's not right. Your Lu family has also cultivated for thousands of years, and you also have the potential pill. Why can't you compare to the Mu family? Qin Feiyang frowned. Because my Lu family has no ambition. For generations, we just want to live a peaceful life. Otherwise, the Great Qin Empire would have changed its name. Chapter 13:18. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Changing his name? As long as he was here, no one would be able to take away the empire left by his ancestors, unless they stepped over his dead body. Wait. We only saw battle emperors, not false gods. Are the only false gods of the Mu family the white-robed old man and Yigleo? Gongsun Bei was shocked. Definitely more than that. Lu Zhang shook his head. The Mu family had been cultivating here for tens of thousands of years and had given birth to so many peak 9-star battle emperors. How could they only have 2 false gods? Either these fake divinities were hiding in the other 9 stone towers, or they were hiding somewhere else. In this world, the most important thing is still the false gods, because any false god is enough to kill all the 9-star battle emperors of the Mu family. So, we have to find out how many false gods the Mu family has. Qin Feiyong said solemnly. Actually, we don't have to worry too much, because even if the Mu family is a few times more powerful than the main tower still has the capital to fight against them, Gongsun Bei said. What capital? Qin Feiyong and Lu Zheng looked at him in shock. I can't tell you. Gongsun Bei smiled mysteriously and said, I believe that the Great Qin Empire also has the capital to fight against the Mu family. I don't know. I only know that the Great Qin Empire has 4 false gods, including the national teacher, Qin Feiyong said. For false gods, Gongsun Bei murmured and smiled. I think it's more than that. Maybe the Great Qin Empire has something that the Mu family is afraid of. Otherwise, the Mu family would have done something. Makes sense. Qin Feiyong nodded thoughtfully. Lu Zheng said, We're almost done here. Let's go out first and find a way to check the other towers. Qin Feiyong let out a long breath and controlled the ancient castle to fly to the first floor. Soon, the ancient castle arrived in front of the tower. Lu Zheng looked at the pagoda door and frowned. There should be a mechanism on this door. Let's go out and look for it. Did the sun rise from the west? You actually volunteered to go out and risk your life? Qin Feiyong looked at him in surprise. Lu Zheng pointed at his nose in astonishment. I'm going to have a whole new level of respect for you. Qin Feiyong gave him a thumbs up and chuckled. With a wave of his hand, he sent Lu Zheng out. Bastard! Which ear did you hear that I volunteered to come out? I'm calling for the Spirit Snake Emperor to come out. Lu Zheng was so angry that his nose was crooked. Although he was angry, he did not slack off. He vigilantly glanced at the cultivation room behind him and began to search carefully. However, he checked all around the tower door, but didn't find any mechanism. Try and see if you can push it away. Qin Feiyong's voice sounded in his mind. It's not like you didn't see the situation when the Spirit Snake Emperor touched the pagoda door. Now you want me to push it away. Do you want me to die? Lu Zheng said angrily in secret. That's outside. And inside, there's usually no trigger mechanism like that. Qin Feiyong said. Lu Zheng raised his eyebrows and stared at the pagoda door. Finally, he raised his arm and carefully leaned toward the pagoda door. Who are you? But suddenly, a cold voice sounded. Lu Zheng and Qin Feiyong in the ancient castle were shocked at the same time. They saw a middle-aged man standing at the staircase on the 2nd floor. He was thin and wore a long black robe. His aura had reached the level of a 9-star war emperor. Why am I so unlucky? Lu Zheng complained in his heart. He braced himself and turned to look at the middle-aged man in black. He bowed and said, Junior Mu Yijing greets Senior. Mu Yijing? The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows. Inside the castle, Qin Feiyong's face was also filled with shock. But soon, he understood. It turned out that Lu Zheng wanted to pretend to be a disciple of the Mu family and get away with it. After all, there were many people in the Mu family. This middle-aged man might not have seen everyone. But, will it work? Qin Feiyong couldn't help but worry. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Zheng and asked, Only those above the level of an 8-star war emperor can enter this place. Why are you here? Lu Zheng's mind was running fast. Suddenly, he had an idea. He cupped his hands and said, Old Hai asked me to come. This guy is quite smart. Qin Feiyong shook his head in amusement. Although he didn't know Old Hai's identity, it wasn't difficult to see that Old Hai must be highly respected in the Mu family from the attitude of the Mu family's patriarch and Mu Yuan. With Old Hai as a backer, he might be able to get away with it. Old Hai. Sure enough. Hearing the 2 words Old Hai, the middle-aged man was very surprised and asked, Why did Old Hai ask you to come here? Lu Zheng hesitated and said awkwardly, Senior, it's really inconvenient to say more about this matter. I hope you can forgive me. If you really want to know, you can ask old Hai yourself. Then forget it. The middle-aged man waved his hand and seemed to be quite afraid of old Hai. Seeing the change in the middle-aged man's attitude, Lu Zhang was secretly relieved and then asked, "Senior, are you going out too? I'm going to the medicine field to find a few herbs." The middle-aged man smiled and walked down the stairs. "Senior, please go ahead." Lu Zhang's eyes lit up and respectfully retreated to the side, showing a very polite look. In fact, he wanted the middle-aged man to help him open the tower door. Quite a good little guy. The middle-aged man didn't think much about it. Instead, he praised Lu Zhang's performance and then took out a silver token from his arms. "N?" Lu Zhang stared at the token and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Immediately after, the middle-aged man grabbed the token and the battle chi in his palm surged into the token. Buzz. The next moment, a brilliant silver beam swept out from the token and merged into the tower door. At that moment, the tower door opened quickly. It turns out that the token is the key to opening the tower door. Lu Zhang muttered secretly, a trace of light flashing in the depths of his eyes. When the tower door opened, the middle-aged man put away the token and strode out. Lu Zhang hurriedly followed him out. Smelling the fresh air outside, his suspended heart finally settled down. Immediately, he looked at the middle-aged man's back and a trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The middle-aged man turned to look at Lu Zhang and asked with a smile, "Can you tell me, what is your relationship with old Hai?" Lu Zhang was about to speak, but suddenly, he felt a mysterious force enveloping him. The next moment, he disappeared into thin air in front of the tower, and the middle-aged man also disappeared with Lu Zhang. At the same time, Lu Zhang and the middle-aged man appeared in the sky above a mountain range at the same time. The middle-aged man glanced below, his eyes full of surprise. Lu Zhang also looked around suspiciously, but found everything in front of him very familiar. Soon, he smiled, because this was the ancient tower. Since he and the middle-aged man appeared in the ancient tower, it meant that Qin Feiyang must be here too. He glanced at the mountain range below and the surrounding void, then looked up. As expected, Qin Feiyang was standing above the two of them. Lu Zhang grinned and said, "It seems that we have the same idea. Otherwise, how can we be cousins?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Who are you talking to?" The middle-aged man looked at Lu Zhang in surprise. "See for yourself." Lu Zhang pointed up. The middle-aged man looked up and immediately changed color. How could it be Qin Feiyang? The next moment, he glared at Lu Zhang and roared, "You actually colluded with Qin Feiyang." Whoosh! Lu Zhang smiled disdainfully, flew into the sky, and landed beside Qin Feiyang. He looked down at the middle-aged man and joked, "You don't really think that my name is Qin Feiyang and that I'm from your Mu family, do you?" The middle-aged man was stunned and immediately realized that he had been fooled. He said in a deep voice, "Who are you?" "This young master will never change his name or his surname." "I am Lu Zhang," Lu Zhang said proudly. Lu Zhang, surnamed Lu, together with Qin Feiyang again, still cousins. Could it be? The middle-aged man muttered to himself. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something, and his body trembled. "You're from the great Qin Empire's Lu family?" Lu Zhang said playfully. "It seems that my Lu family has not been forgotten by your Mu family. How could this be?" The middle-aged man looked incredulous. "Why are you in my Mu family? How did you pass through the divine power barrier?" Qin Feiyang said, "This question, when you go to hell, someone will tell you." "Haha." The middle-aged man looked up and laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Feiyang looked at him coldly. "I'm laughing at your naivety. With your insignificant cultivation, you want to kill me?" The middle-aged man laughed wildly. The aura of a 9-star combat emperor erupted like a volcano and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. "Is a 9-star combat emperor very strong?" Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and shouted, "All of you, come out, roar." Before his voice died away, below the mountain stream, the roars of beasts were deafening. The middle-aged man hurriedly looked down and saw many ferocious beasts, carrying monstrous ferocity, rushing into the sky and surrounding him. The middle-aged man's body could not help but tremble. His face was full of horror. There were so many emperor beasts, and all of them were 9-star emperor beasts, a total of 80 to 90. Seahorses and seals were also among them. Lu Jing sneered and said, "Now tell me, are you naive or are we naive? Why? Why does he have so many 9-star emperor beasts around him?" The middle-aged man shook his head crazily, unable to accept this terrible fact. "Your Mu family has been in contact with me for so long. Don't you know that I, Qin Feiyong, never do things that I'm not sure of? Since I dared to come to your Mu family, then I've never been afraid of anyone. Cripple him." Qin Feiyong's eyes surged with murderous intent as he shouted. "Brothers, go!" Seahorses roared. A group of 9-star emperor beasts suddenly rushed toward the middle-aged man like hungry wolves pouncing on their prey. "Little bastards, I'll perish together with you." The middle-aged man roared, his body filled with a destructive aura. Obviously, he wanted to self-destruct. He had no choice. Facing 80 to 99-star emperor beasts, even if he had the ability to defy the heavens, he would die sooner or later. So, instead of risking his life, he might as well self-destruct. And as a 9-star combat emperor, the destructive power of self-destruction was enough to instantly kill this group of 9-star emperor beasts, including Qin Feiyong and Lu Zhang. Chapter 1319. Who gave you the courage to self-destruct? However, the seal smiled playfully, and its speed suddenly increased. It turned into a flash of light and instantly rushed in front of the middle-aged man. Although the seal's speed was not as fast as the thunder leopard, leopards were naturally faster than other beasts. Boom! It raised its sharp claws and directly reached for the middle-aged man's lower abdomen. Ah! The middle-aged man screamed as blood gushed out of his lower abdomen. The seal's entire claw sank into the middle-aged man's lower abdomen, and his sea of qi was shattered on the spot. The destructive aura also disappeared immediately. "I've taken care of it. There's no need for you to do anything." The seal looked at Seahorse and the other beasts and said proudly. The group of 9-star emperor beasts stopped in the void and looked at the seal with admiration. Only Seahorse looked unhappy. That bastard stole the limelight again. Qin Feiyong released his emperor's aura and imprisoned the middle-aged man in the void. Then, he took a step forward and landed in front of the middle-aged man. He chuckled and said, "How do you feel? Don't be so smug. You can sneak into my Mu family silently. You're indeed capable, but you'll never be able to get out." The middle-aged man looked at Qin Feiyong and Lu Zhang with a sinister smile. "Do you think we're scared?" Lu Zhang smiled contemptuously. "You'll know soon enough whether I'm just scaring you or not." The middle-aged man sneered. "SK." Lu Zhang's face was full of disdain. He walked in front of the middle-aged man and took the silver token from his arms. Qin Feiyong walked up and looked at the token curiously. He then looked down at the middle-aged man and said, "Answer a few of my questions and I'll spare your life." "What questions?" the middle-aged man said. Qin Feiyong said, "Can this token open the doors of the other 9 stone towers? So you're here to find out the details of my Mu family. But I'm sorry, I don't know." The middle-aged man sneered. Qin Feiyong was not angry. He asked again, "How many false gods does your Mu family have?" "I don't know." The middle-aged man was still sneering. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and looked at the seal. "Kill it. It's a pity to kill him just like that. Why don't we bring him to the castle and let Brother Wolf interrogate him?" Seal suggested. "It's impossible to force a confession out of someone like him. Let's not waste time." Qin Feiyong said. "Alas." Seal helplessly sighed. He glanced at the middle-aged man and coldly snorted, "Consider yourself lucky." After saying that, it swung its claws, and the middle-aged man's head exploded like a watermelon with a crack. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and the middle-aged man's heaven-earth pouch flew toward him. Qin Feiyong grabbed it and looked at the seahorse and the seal, saying, "Take care of the body." After that, he took Lu Zhang to the castle. Lu Zhang weighed the silver token in his hand and said proudly, "Your cousin is smart, right? Not only did I avert danger, but I also obtained the key to open the stone tower." Smart. Qin Feiyong laughed. No one could deny this point, because if it were someone else today, and they were caught red-handed by the middle-aged man, they would definitely panic. In the end, they would definitely fall into the hands of the Mu family and die. However, Lu Zheng was able to come up with such a brilliant escape plan under such a pressing situation. It was hard not to admire him. However, whether this silver token could open the other 9 stone towers was still to be confirmed. He lowered his head and looked at the middle-aged man's heaven-earth pouch in his eyes and carefully looked through it. Perhaps there was something in it that could be used. But in the end, it ended in disappointment. In the heaven-earth pouch, except for some medicinal herbs, pills, gold coins, and daily necessities, he did not find anything valuable. He did find a cluster of alchemy fire, but it was only a 6th grade alchemy fire. The nether devil flame had been upgraded to the 8th grade, so the 6th grade alchemy fire was of little significance to him. Now, only the 8th grade and 9th grade alchemy fire could arouse his interest. Since you didn't find anything, let's hurry to the other 9 stone towers and see if this token is useful, Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyang nodded, put away the heaven-earth pouch, and drove the castle to the stone tower on the opposite mountain peak. At the same time, on an island in the endless sea, a purple-clothed woman sat cross-legged on a mountain peak, her eyes slightly closed, and her body exuded an ethereal aura. This was the aura of the false god. Mother. Suddenly, a pleasant voice rang out. Then, a woman in a long white dress appeared beside the purple-clothed woman. Her face was red, her teeth were white, and her eyes were bright. Her long dress was whiter than snow, and her soft black hair fluttered in the wind. Her figure was excellent, and her tender skin could be broken with a flick of a finger. She looked to be only 22 or 23 years old, and her face was beautiful, not inferior to Ren Wushuang at all. Her every move, every frown, and every smile exuded a fatal temptation. The purple-clothed woman opened her eyes and looked up at the white-clothed woman, her eyes full of love, and asked with a smile, Wushuang, what's wrong? The white-clothed woman said, Daughter just received news that 8 days ago, Qin Feiyang entered the Central Divine Kingdom. The purple-clothed woman was stunned, suddenly stood up, and said angrily, Is this bastard crazy? Doesn't he know that the main tower and the Mu family are looking for him everywhere? Daughter also thinks that he is a bit too reckless, but it is said that he disappeared as soon as he entered the Central Divine Kingdom. No one knows where he is now. The white-clothed woman said. The purple-clothed woman heaved a sigh of relief and said, As long as he is fine, it is good. But this brat, he came back and didn't send a message to us first. It is a bit too much. The woman looked quite angry. The white-clothed woman covered her mouth and smiled, saying, I am afraid that he still treats us as opponents. How can he send a message to us to tell us that he is safe? When the purple-clothed woman heard this, she couldn't help but smile bitterly. That's right. These 2 people were the mysterious madam and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house asked tentatively, Mother, why don't daughter send a message to ask him? Don't. As a junior, he didn't take the initiative to send a message to us and wanted us to take the initiative. What kind of scandal is this? I can't let go of my face, the mysterious madam said angrily. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house laughed. Is face that important? Nonsense. If face isn't important, then what is? In short, if he doesn't take the initiative to send a message to us, we will pretend that we don't know. The mysterious madam snorted coldly. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled helplessly. The mysterious madam suddenly thought of something and asked the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, By the way, have those 2 old things left? No. They are still monitoring us on that island. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house shook her head. How patient. The mysterious madam smiled coldly. Mother, we can't go on like this. Why don't we just get rid of them? The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, her beautiful eyes filled with killing intent. No need. The Mu family's foundation is very terrifying. Before we have absolute confidence, it is not appropriate to make a move against them. Moreover, your teacher is still imprisoned in the main tower. If we make a move now, the main tower will hear the news and interfere. That will be even more disadvantageous to us. The mysterious madam said solemnly. Teacher, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house murmured. At this moment, she was not wearing a veil on her face and was full of worry. She asked, Mother, when are we going to save teacher? Don't worry. As long as the divine crystal is still in our hands, the people of the main tower won't dare to hurt your teacher, the mysterious madam said. But the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house wanted to say something, but the mysterious madam waved her hand and said, All right, you can leave first. There are some things that I need to think about. Yes, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house replied, and could only helplessly turn around and leave. Wait. The mysterious madam suddenly looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house and said. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house stopped and turned to look at her. She asked, Mother, is there anything else? The mysterious madam said, Now that you have stepped into the 9-star War Emperor, I hope that you can put aside your teacher's matter and focus on breaking through to the peak of the 9-star War Emperor, and then comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a god. I understand. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house nodded and turned into a ray of light, disappearing into the horizon like lightning. And then there was Qin Feiyang. At this moment, he had already arrived in front of the stone tower. Through the screen, he saw that there was no one around. So he looked at Lu Zheng and said, Give me the token. Let me go. The people of the Mu family don't know me. Even if I am discovered, I can repeat the same trick. But you can't. Lu Zheng smiled proudly. There's nothing to be proud of, right? Qin Feiyang was speechless. With a wave of his hand, Lu Zheng appeared in front of the stone tower. Lu Zheng looked around vigilantly, then grabbed the token and faced the tower door, the battle chi surging in his palm. Whoosh! In the next moment, a silver beam of light shot out and merged into the tower door. Buzz! However, not only did the tower door not open, a black light screen suddenly appeared on the entire stone tower. This scene was exactly the same as when the Spirit Snake Emperor triggered the mechanism. Damn it! Little cousin, quickly pull me in. Lu Zheng's expression changed as he shouted in a low voice. Obviously, this silver token was unable to open the door of this stone tower. In other words, the keys of these 10 stone towers were independent and could not be used. In the castle, Qin Feiyang could not help but frown. The 10 stone towers all had different keys. This was a bit troublesome. Boom. Suddenly, the tower door opened. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and hurriedly took Lu Zheng into the castle. Lu Zheng said angrily, What are you doing? Why did you wait so long to pull me in? Outside, he was about to go crazy. Because the mechanism had been triggered, someone would definitely come out to check. I'm thinking about something, Qin Feiyang said, looking at the tower door that was opening on the screen, his eyes flickering. Finally, the tower door was fully opened. A red-haired old man strode out and stood on the steps in front of the tower, scanning the void in front of him, his old eyes full of suspicion. Why is there no one? The red-haired old man murmured and was about to turn around and enter the stone tower. Swish! But at this time, the Mu family head came again, looking at the black light screen on the stone tower, and said in shock, What's going on? Someone should have triggered the mechanism, but when this old man came out, I didn't see anyone. The red-haired old man frowned. This? The Mu family head raised his eyebrows and murmured, Could it be that some beast accidentally broke in? But how could there be such a coincidence? Beast? Chapter 1320. The Mu family head said, Not long ago, something similar happened at Old High's stone tower. There's such a thing? The red-haired old man raised his eyebrows and pondered for a while before saying, Go and call Old High over. Okay. The Mu family head nodded, turned around and rushed to the stone tower. Lu Zheng said in a deep voice, They seem to be suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, With this kind of thing happening one after another, if it were me, I would also be suspicious. What should we do now? Lu Zheng asked. Wait and see. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. If there is no accident, this trip to the Mu family should end here. Moreover, he couldn't sense any aura from this red-haired old man. He was probably a peak 9-star combat emperor. Whoosh! Soon, the Mu family head, and Old Hai flew over. Old Hai looked at the red-haired old man and asked suspiciously, "Old Fong, why did you call me over?" The red-haired old man said, "I heard from the master that something strange happened at your stone tower not long ago." "Yes. It was a green snake that triggered the mechanism." Old Hai nodded and asked, "Is there a problem?" The red-haired old man said, "The mechanism here was triggered by someone just now, but when I came out to check, I didn't see anyone." This, Old Hai was stunned. The red-haired old man said, "If it was only once, I would believe that some fierce beasts accidentally broke in and triggered the mechanism, but now it happened a second time. Is this a coincidence?" "You mean someone is playing tricks in the dark?" Old Hai was surprised. "I don't know if there's anyone playing tricks in the dark, but I have a feeling that this matter is not so simple. It's necessary to investigate." The red-haired old man scanned the void, his old eyes flashing with a cold light. Gong Sunbei said, "This old man is a bit difficult to deal with." Qin Feiyang nodded. The red-haired old man suddenly retracted his gaze and turned to look at the tower, shouting, "All 8-star combat emperors and 9-star combat emperors, come out immediately." Whoosh! Immediately, stone doors opened one after another as silhouettes rushed out from the cultivation rooms and gathered in front of the stone tower. They bowed and greeted, "Greetings, Elder Fong, Elder Hai, and Patriarch." The Mujia's lord said, "Go and look around. See if there are any suspicious people. No. Search the entire sacred mountain. If you see anyone suspicious, arrest them immediately. Also, check if there are any ferocious beasts like the green snake in the sacred mountain." The red-haired old man said, "Yes." The group of people responded respectfully and spread out in all directions to conduct a carpet search. Inside the castle, Lu Zhang scanned the backs of those people and said in a deep voice, "Another 358-star combat emperors and 109-star combat emperors. It seems like the situation in these 10 stone pagodas is similar." Gong Sunbei looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Let's go to the 10th floor and see if there are any peak 9-star combat emperors." Qin Feiyang nodded and steered the castle into the stone pagoda silently, heading straight for the 10th floor. The layout here was exactly the same as the stone pagoda where Elder Hai was. There were 50 cultivation rooms on each floor, 10 floors, a total of 500. Soon, the castle entered the 10th floor. It was the same as the stone pagoda where Elder Hai was. There was no aura, but in the corridor, there were a few old men standing there, talking about something. These old men were very old, with white hair and no aura. However, they gave Qin Feiyang and the other two a great sense of crisis. Obviously, they were all peak 9-star combat Emperor Realm experts. Suddenly, another stone door opened. An old woman in a black robe walked out and looked at the old men. She asked suspiciously, "What happened outside?" One of the white-haired old men smiled and said, "It seems that someone has triggered the mechanism outside the stone pagoda. Elder Fong has already sent people to investigate. There should be no need for us to do anything." "I see." The old woman in a black robe nodded in realization. She then returned to the cultivation room and closed the stone door directly. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang and the other two's hearts were heavy. Although they did not see everyone on the 10th floor, it was obvious that there was a super expert in each cultivation room. Now, they could finally be sure that the situation in the 10-stone pagoda was the same. 10-stone pagoda, 5,000 cultivation rooms. Among them, 3,508-star combat emperors, 1,009-star combat emperors, 500 peak 9-star combat emperors. I really didn't know if I didn't investigate. Now that I did, I was shocked. Gong Sunbei looked at Qin Feiyang and the other two with a bitter smile on his face. Qin Feiyang also shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "I just don't know how many false gods there are." Lu Zhang said, "To be honest, even if the Mu family only has 2 false gods, the white-robed old man and Yiglao, we can't let our guard down." "Why?" Gong Sunbei looked at him in confusion. "Think about it. These 500 peak 9-star combat emperors are basically comprehending the profound meaning of becoming a true god. Maybe a few false gods will be born one day. Maybe there will even be false gods born tomorrow." Lu Zhang said. Hearing this, Gongsun Bei suddenly felt as if there was a big stone pressing down on his heart. It was heavy. Lu Zhang is right. These peak 9-star combat emperors are a potential threat to us. If there is a chance, it's best to get rid of them as soon as possible. Qin Feiyang controlled the ancient castle and flew to the first floor while saying in a deep voice. The murderous intent in his words was bone-chilling. Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Gongsun Bei lowered his head and pondered. The ancient castle silently flew out of the stone pagoda. Elder Fong, Elder Hai, and the Mu family's patriarch were still there. At this moment, Gongsun Bei's eyes flashed coldly. He looked up and glanced at the three patriarchs and said, "If you are sure that the Mu family only has 2 false gods, the white-robed old man and Yiglao, my main pagoda can take action." Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked hurriedly, "Really?" Gongsun Bei nodded. "They can't let the Mu family continue to grow, otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable." Lu Zhang frowned and said, "I'm afraid that even your main pagoda may not be able to destroy the Mu family. After all, the white-robed old man is a peak false god." Gongsun Bei said, "Even if we can't destroy the Mu family, we can still make them suffer a great loss. Yes, we can change our target. Let's not care about anything else. Just kill the people in these 10 stone pagodas." Qin Feiyang said. Lu Zhang's eyes lit up. He nodded and said, "If that's the case, it shouldn't be a big problem, but we must succeed in one blow. Otherwise, when the Mu family's people react, all our efforts will be in vain." "Let me think about it." Qin Feiyang walked to the side, leaned his back against the wall, and lowered his head to ponder. Lu Zhang and Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang and pondered in their hearts. Inside the ancient castle, it gradually fell into a dead silence. Chapter 1321. After a long time, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He looked up at Gongsun Bei and asked, "How many false gods do you have in your tower now?" "Well," Gongsun Bei hesitated. Qin Feiyang said, "I have to know the foundation of your tower so that I can make a plan." Gongsun Bei gritted his teeth and said, 3. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He asked, "Are they the 3 people guarding the land of inheritance?" "Yes." Gongsun Bei nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "But I seem to remember that one of them is the mysterious ladies' man?" The person he was talking about was the teacher of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. At first, he wondered why this old man would secretly help him in the land of inheritance. It was not until later that he found out that it was the mysterious lady's order. Yes, this person is now imprisoned in the Sword Peak, and now another person is guarding the land of inheritance in his place. "You know this person too?" Gongsun Bei said. "Who?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Gongsun Bei said, "Deputy Pavilion Master of the Exchange Pavilion." "Deputy Pavilion Master?" Qin Feiyang's expression froze. Li He broke through to the false god realm so quickly? The current Deputy Pavilion Master of the Exchange Pavilion was Li He. Li He? Gongsun Bei was stunned and smiled bitterly. "It's my fault for not making it clear. He's the previous Deputy Pavilion Master." "The previous Deputy Pavilion Master?" Qin Feiyang was stunned, and his gaze suddenly trembled as he said in surprise, "If I remember correctly, he gave up the position of Vice Pavilion Master because his time was up. How could he be a fake god?" Speaking of which, he was lucky. Just half a month ago, when he was about to die, he suddenly comprehended the profound meaning of becoming a true god and successfully became a false god. His lifespan was also extended. Gongsun Bei smiled. "I see." Qin Feiyang was enlightened. He smiled and said, "Back then, during the Vice Pavilion Master succession ceremony, although he was nearing the end of his lifespan, there wasn't the slightest bit of fear on his face. I still remember telling him that I admired his temperament. However, I didn't expect that when he returned to the Central Divine Nation, he had already stepped into the false god realm. Yes, we didn't expect him to comprehend the profound meaning of becoming a true god. However, his ascension to godhood is a joyous occasion for our main pagoda." Gongsun Bei smiled. "Of course, who doesn't want a true god realm true god?" Qin Feiyang muttered. He wanted to become a true god more than anyone else. Although he had been a god realm, he could only relying on strategy. For example, the empire. Qin Feiyang used Zhuge Shenfeng and Zhuge Mingyang to restrain the imperial advisor, and then used the imperial advisor to restrain the emperor. It was the same when he came to the Forgotten Continent. He used the Mu family to restrain the Master Tower, and then used the Master Tower to deal with the Mu family. In short, now, he was relying on his brain to move between the various forces. This situation was not a problem in the short term, but in the long run, he might be played to death. But if he also had a few false gods around him, the situation would be completely different. Because in this way, he would have the real capital to confront these giants head-on. I've already told you what you want to know. Are you going to tell me about your plan now? Gongsun Bei asked. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and shook his head with a smile. I can't tell you for now, but please believe me. As long as you do as I say, I can destroy the 10 stone towers and kill everyone inside. As he spoke, the coldness in his eyes was undisguised. Gongsun Bei asked, Then what do you want me to do? Qin Feiyang said, Send a message to the Master Tower and ask the 3 false gods to come, but don't enter the Mu family directly. Hide outside the entrance and wait for my orders. Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes flickering. What are you still worried about? Are you afraid that I will plot against your Master Tower? Don't worry, this time our target is only the Mu family. I won't plot against anyone in your Master Tower. And, if you follow my plan, maybe you can get rid of the 9 false gods of the Mu family. Qin Feiyang smiled. Really? Gongsun Bei was overjoyed. I just said maybe. I didn't say I'm sure. Because many things will not develop as smoothly as we think. There will always be accidents. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Okay. Gongsun Bei gritted his teeth and nodded. I will send a message to the Master Tower immediately, but I want to talk to him alone. Deep in his eyes, there was a flash of light. Alone? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He chuckled and said, Brother Gongsun, you're not being honest. What do you mean? Gongsun Bei raised his eyebrows. During this period, we have repeatedly mentioned the ancient tower, plus I took Wang Xiaojia and the others to the ancient tower. In the face of so many abnormal behaviors, a smart person like you must have thought that I have a second spatial divine artifact. You must have also thought that my real trump card is not in the castle, but in the ancient tower. So now, you are very eager to go in and have a look, but you can't find a good reason. So, when I proposed to send a message to the Master Tower, you came up with a plan and found an excuse to send a message to the Master Tower alone. And now, Old Fong, and the Mu family's head are outside. I certainly can't send you out. So where can I send you? Naturally, I can only send you to your ancient tower. Brother Gongsun, may I ask if I'm right? Qin Feiyang joked. Gongsun Bei's heart skipped a beat. Can this kid read minds? He guessed it all right. Qin Feiyang said, Brother Gongsun, actually, with our relationship, there is no need to do this. If you want to go in, just say it. Gongsun Bei raised his eyebrows and said, You can say that here, but don't say it in front of the Master Tower. Otherwise, he will definitely be suspicious. Suspect what? Suspect that you betrayed him? If this sentence really makes him suspect that you betrayed him, then it means that he doesn't trust you at all. What's the point of following a person who doesn't trust you? Qin Feiyang said. You really don't let go of any opportunity. Gongsun Bei shook his head helplessly. Qin Feiyang clearly wanted him to betray him again. Can't help it. Who told you to attract me so much? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and waved his hand to bring Gongsun Bei to the ancient tower. So big? Looking at the space inside the ancient tower, Gongsun Bei was stunned. Is this still a spatial divine artifact? It's clearly a real world. Qin Feiyang shouted, Seahorse, seal, come over immediately. Whoosh! Before his voice faded away, the 2 beasts rushed out from the mountain stream and landed in front of Qin Feiyang like lightning. Qin Feiyang said, Brother Gongsun is my guest. You 2 accompany him well. Don't neglect him at all. The 2 beasts glanced at Gongsun Bei and smiled, understood. Gongsun Bei's face twitched. It was obvious that the 2 beasts were monitoring him, but he still called him a guest. What a hypocrite. Brother Gongsun, have a good chat with the Master Tower. This little brother won't disturb you. Qin Feiyong smiled and disappeared without a trace. What a troublesome kid. Gongsun Bei sighed and looked around the mountain range. This place was far from the village and the herb field, so he didn't see anything except the beasts. There must be people here. But where are these people? Gongsun Bei murmured. At the same time, the seahorse and seal exchanged a glance, and a sinister smile appeared on their faces. Seahorse smiled and asked, Brother Gongsun, why don't we show you around? Can we? Gongsun Bei was stunned and asked calmly. Of course. The seahorse hurriedly nodded. Then, please lead the way. Gongsun Bei smiled. We're family. Why are you being so polite? We'll get angry if you continue to be so polite. The two beasts said unhappily and led Gongsun Bei to the mountain range opposite the village. Brother Gongsun, look at the mountain over there. It's so tall and majestic. And that river, it's so clear. Let me tell you, there are a lot of fish in there. Those fish are all wild. They taste great. Brother Gongsun, look over there. Isn't that tree huge? I don't think even a dozen people can surround it. As the two beasts flew, they introduced each other. They were beaming with joy and their saliva splattered everywhere. However, the things they introduced were all insignificant. Gongsun Bei frowned. The seal suddenly pointed down and saw an eagle circling in the sky. How common was an eagle? But the seal looked as if it had never seen it before and said, Brother Gongsun, look, that chicken is so beautiful. Seahorse rolled its eyes and said, Junior Leopard, what's wrong with your eyes? Is that a chicken? It's obviously an eagle. Is it an eagle? But why does it look like a chicken to me? Seal sized up Old Eagle, his eyes full of suspicion. Then, he said with certainty, I'm sure that's a chicken. Maybe it's because it's mutated and looks different from other chickens. Seahorse was stunned and looked at the eagle. You're right. This is the first time I've seen a mutated chicken. Gongsun Bei's face darkened when he saw the two beasts' expressions and heard their conversation. These two bastards were simply toying with him. He suppressed his anger and said, Stay away from me. I have something to do. How can we do that? Boss Qin told us to keep you company. The two beasts were stunned and quickly looked at Gongsun Bei Dao with a hint of mockery in their eyes. Get lost. Gongsun Bei shouted. The two beasts were in a difficult position. Seeing Gongsun Bei's face getting uglier, Seahorse said helplessly, All right. You're Boss Qin's guest. We'll listen to you. Yes. We don't want to be scolded by Boss Qin. We'll wait for you over there. When you're done, we'll continue to show you around. The two beasts flew across the sky like lightning and landed on a mountain peak dozens of miles away. They watched Gongsun Bei and whispered to each other. Their eyes were full of evil smiles. Bastard! Gongsun Bei cursed and took out a video crystal to send a message to the Chief Tower Master. Chapter 1322. Who did you send a message to? Lu Zheng looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, An old friend. We need her help to complete this plan. Old friend? Lu Zheng frowned and said in surprise, It can't be that mysterious lady you mentioned, right? It's her. It's also because I want to find her that I asked Gongsun Bei to go to the ancient pagoda, because there are some things that he can't know. Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered. Gongsun Bei sending a message to the Chief Tower Master alone was just an excuse to go to the ancient pagoda, but he really wanted to send Gongsun Bei away. Lu Zheng said, Then if you let Gongsun Bei go to the ancient pagoda, won't the people in the village be exposed? Don't worry. I've already informed Seahorse and Seal. He'll never find the village. Qin Feiyong smiled. Lu Zheng shook his head and laughed. Buzz. Not long later, a beautiful figure appeared. It was the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house. At this moment, she was wearing a pale golden dress that accentuated her graceful figure. Her skin was as soft as water, and her black hair was like a waterfall. Her eyes were lively, and she had the charm of a mature woman, but her face was covered with a veil. Why is it you? When she saw Qin Feiyong, The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house pretended to be surprised. Her voice was like the sound of nature, extremely pleasant to the ear. She's that mysterious lady. She doesn't look that old. Lu Zhang curiously sized up the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house. She's the daughter of the mysterious lady. She's extremely powerful. Before I returned to the Great Qin Empire, she was already an 8-star combat emperor. And now, although the aura she exudes isn't strong, she's definitely already a 9-star combat emperor. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. So powerful? Lu Zhang was shocked. Qin Feiyang nodded, looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, and said with a faint smile, "Can you stop pretending? You mother and daughter are so resourceful. How could you not know that I've come to the Forgotten Continent?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was stunned. Then she chuckled and asked, "Why are you looking for me?" "He's not looking for you. I'm looking for your mother," Qin Feiyang said. "Looking for mother?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was stunned for a moment before she teased. "My mother might not want to see you now," Qin Feiyang said. "She will definitely see me because I am now in the Mujia's nest." "What?" The Miss of Longfeng House's expression changed abruptly, and she said angrily, "Why did you run to the Mu family's lair? Don't you know it's a very dangerous place?" "It's precisely because it's dangerous that I'm asking for your help." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Asking for help?" The young lady of Longfeng Pavilion frowned and snorted coldly. "If you really reached the point where you had to ask us for help, would you still be able to laugh now? It's not like you don't know me. I've always been like this. The more desperate the situation, the more relaxed and calm I become." Qin Feiyang said. "Cut the crap. Why did you sneak into the Mu family? And who told you the location of the Mu family?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "I'll answer you slowly later. Go find your mother first. I have something important to discuss with her," Qin Feiyang said. The young lady of Longfeng Pavilion raised her eyebrows, and the phantom image disappeared. Lu Zhang retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang, asking, "Is this woman beautiful?" "What do you mean? Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to her again? I should have known that you're a playboy. You fall in love with every woman you see." Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. "Let me tell you, don't slander me. I only have Hong-er in my heart. I asked if she was beautiful purely for your sake," Lu Zhang said. "For my sake?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Think about it. If you can marry her, won't her mother immediately become your mother-in-law?" Lu Zhang chuckled, his smile extremely wretched. "Are you asking me to be a gigolo?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "Don't make it sound so bad. This is called sharing resources. Besides, you can marry a beautiful girl and also find a powerful backer. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. What's wrong with being a gigolo? Others don't even have the chance." Lu Zhang continued to instigate. "Can you be any more shameless?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. He was really a genius to be able to come up with such a rotten idea. Buzz. Soon, the image crystal rang. "Watch your mouth. Don't talk nonsense." Qin Feiyang glared at Lu Zhang and activated the image crystal. The phantom images of the young lady of Longfeng Pavilion and the mysterious lady immediately appeared. "You still know to send me a message?" This was the first sentence that the mysterious lady said. She looked rather unhappy. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "That's not right. Didn't little cousin say that this woman has a deep hatred for him? Why does she seem to care about him now?" Lu Zhang muttered secretly. The mysterious lady's attitude was completely like an elder reprimanding Qin Feiyang. What was the relationship between these two people? Looking at the expressions of Qin Feiyang and Lu Zhang, the mysterious lady also realized that she had lost her composure. She pointed at Lu Zhang and asked, "Who is he?" "He's my cousin," Qin Feiyang said. "Cousin?" The mysterious lady was stunned and asked, "Someone from the Lu family?" "How do you know about the Lu family?" Lu Zhang was shocked. Qin Feiyang was also surprised. Why did he feel that this woman knew everything in the world? "Not bad. Even the Lu family is here. Tell me, why did you sneak into the Mu family?" The mysterious lady asked with a playful smile. "To find out the details of the Mu family." Qin Feiyang didn't hide anything. "How's the investigation?" The mysterious lady asked. Very strong, Qin Feiyang said. Since you know, why don't you leave quickly? The mysterious lady said angrily. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, it's not easy to sneak into the Mu family. Wouldn't it be a loss to leave like this? The mysterious lady's eyes narrowed slightly and asked with interest, then tell me, what are you planning? What? Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and said, can you not say it like that? I just want to suppress the arrogance of the Mu family. How could you send me a message for no reason? It turns out that you have a favor to ask of me. The mysterious lady laughed. Qin Feiyang said, then tell me, will you help me or not? Yes, I will definitely help. After all, the Mu family is also my enemy. It's also pleasing to see the Mu family suffer. But, how do you want me to help you? The mysterious lady said. Qin Feiyang secretly rejoiced and said, before I tell you my plan, I want to ask first, is there anyone from the Mu family monitoring you in the Endless Sea? Don't you already have the answer in your heart? Why are you still asking me? Hurry up and tell me your plan. Don't waste time. The mysterious lady said impatiently. Sure enough, Qin Feiyang whispered. Mu Qing has already calculated the location of the mysterious lady, but she didn't tell the tower. Qin Feiyang said, don't worry, answer me first. Who is monitoring you in the Endless Sea? The mysterious lady said, Yiglao and the ancestor of the Mu family. It turned out to be these two old things. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with murderous intent and asked, just the two of them? The mysterious lady nodded. That's good. Wait for a while. You go and kill them, Qin Feiyang said. Kill them? The mother and daughter looked at each other. The corners of their mouths kept twitching. What is this bastard thinking? Does he think that Yiglao is an ordinary person? Can he kill him? I know it's difficult. However, it's not necessary to kill them. What I need is for you to lead the other fake gods of the Mu family to the Endless Sea, Qin Feiyang said. In fact, his plan is very simple. Let the mysterious lady attack Yiglao in the Endless Sea. When Yiglao is defeated, he will naturally ask the Mu family for help. When the time comes, the old man in the white robe will definitely rush to the rescue. In this way, he can cooperate with the fake gods of the tower to destroy the 10 stone towers. And he can also take the opportunity to loot the Mu family's medicinal field. In short, once this plan succeeds, then this time, Qin Feiyang will be the biggest winner. Because he won't share the Mu family's medicinal field with anyone. He wants to keep it all to himself. Lead the fake gods of the Mu family to the Endless Sea, and you can do whatever you want in the Mu family. This is a good idea. But tell me, what can I get? The mysterious lady said, don't you have a grudge against the Mu family? I'm doing this to help you solve your enemy. What else do you want? Qin Feiyang frowned. According to what you said, shouldn't I be grateful to you? The mysterious lady's eyes were cold. Qin Feiyang smiled. Don't be grateful. After all, we are old friends. It's no big deal to help you. Don't play dumb with me. Do you think I don't know what you're planning? You want us to fight with the fake gods of the Mu family in the Endless Sea, while you take the opportunity to loot the Mu family's medicinal field. I know the Mu family's medicinal field. It's enough to make anyone crazy. So, if you want me to help you, you have to share some with me. The mysterious lady said. Qin Feiyang was helpless. This woman is too smart. Nothing can be hidden from her. Qin Feiyang asked, how do you want to share it? 3 and 7. 7 for me, 3 for you. The mysterious lady said, why don't you just rob them? I risked my life to sneak into the Mu family and only got 30%. Do you think it's possible? Qin Feiyang said angrily. These are all nonsense. You have the castle. Who can do anything to you? It can be said that no one is safer than you. And I am the most dangerous one. Because fighting with the fake gods of the Mu family, I may lose my life at any time. In other words, I'm playing with my life with you. Of course, I'll take the bigger share. The mysterious lady coldly snorted. Qin Feiyang's face was gloomy. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, 50-50, this is my bottom line. The mysterious lady frowned and nodded. Okay, 50-50 it is. But now, there are 2 things that make me worried. What is it? Qin Feiyang was surprised. There are not many things that can make this woman worry. First, we don't know how many fake gods there are in the Mu family. The second is the tower. If the battle breaks out and the people in the tower notice, then I'm afraid I will be attacked like last time. Chapter 1323. Even you don't know how many fake gods there are in the Mu family? Qin Feiyong was shocked.
Yes.
Ever since the Mu family came to the Forgotten Continent, they have been holed up in their nest, conserving their strength. Now that 10,000 years have passed, it's hard to imagine how much they have grown. Also, no one knows if the Mu family has given birth to any new fake gods in the past 10,000 years. Mysterious Madam said worriedly. Qin Feiyong frowned. Originally, he thought Mysterious Madam knew and was about to ask, but he didn't expect that this woman didn't know either. Qin Feiyong asked, when the Mu family first came to the Forgotten Continent, how many fake gods did they have? 2. One of them was the old man in white. Mysterious Madam said. Qin Feiyong said, the other fake god is Yiglao? No. Yiglao became a real god later. Mysterious Madam said. Qin Feiyong's face suddenly changed. That is to say, in addition to the old man in white, there is another giant hidden in the Mu family? Who is he? What is the difference in strength between him and the old man in white? Qin Feiyong asked. Back then, his strength was on par with the old man in white. After 10,000 years, the old man in white has stepped into the peak of the fake god realm, and if he is still alive, he will not be weaker than the old man in white. Mysterious Madam said in a deep voice. Still alive? Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked suspiciously, what do you mean? Ever since that battle, he hasn't appeared again. So now, I can't be sure whether he's dead or alive. If he's really dead, that would be a joyous occasion. Mysterious Madam snorted. That battle? Back then, you fought with them? Qin Feiyong was surprised. Yes. Mysterious Madam nodded. Then what's the reason for your fight? Who won and who lost in the end? Qin Feiyong asked. Mysterious Madam frowned and said, are these questions related to the plan this time? It doesn't matter. Qin Feiyong smiled. Then why did you ask? The mysterious lady said angrily. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, although I don't know how many fake gods the Mu family has, I still want to try. You're really not afraid of death. The mysterious lady was speechless. Who in this world isn't afraid of death? But it depends on how he dies. It would be best if this plan succeeds, but if it doesn't, at the very least, we'll be able to lure out all of the fake divinities hiding in the dark. As long as we know the Mu family's true strength, we will have full confidence the next time we make a move. Qin Feiyong smiled. That makes sense. The mysterious lady nodded. Qin Feiyong said, as for the main tower, you don't have to worry about it at all. Are you sure? The mysterious lady was surprised. Yes. Gongsun Bei is with me right now. Qin Feiyong said. What? You mean, you are cooperating with the main tower? The mysterious lady was bewildered. Yes. But don't worry, we're just in a cooperative relationship. Qin Feiyong smiled. You brat, you're really something. But I don't understand. Why would the main tower agree to cooperate with you to deal with the Mu family? He knows the Mu family's background, and he has some kind of unknown relationship with the Mu family. It stands to reason that he should help the Mu family to eradicate you, right? The mysterious lady's face was full of suspicion. Qin Feiyong's pupil shrank, and he hurriedly said, wait, you said the main tower knows the details of the Mu family? Yes. The mysterious lady nodded. Qin Feiyong said, then why doesn't Gongsun Bei know? Not long ago, I specifically asked Gongsun Bei. Who is the main tower? How could he tell these secrets to Gongsun Bei? Even the fake gods of the main tower, as well as the senior figures like Wang Su, are kept in the dark. The mysterious lady smiled coldly. Then how do you know so clearly? Qin Feiyong said. It has nothing to do with you. The mysterious lady said. Qin Feiyong said helplessly, then what secrets do the main tower and the Mu family have? It has nothing to do with you. The mysterious lady said, don't be like this, okay? I really have a lot of doubts now. Since the main tower knows the details of the Mu family, Why didn't the main tower ask the Mu family for the potential pill? Qin Feiyong frowned. Who doesn't want the potential pill? But do you think the Mu family will give it to him? Let me tell you, the Mu family has something on him, and he doesn't dare to ask the Mu family for it. Wait, something on him? Speaking of this, the mysterious lady seemed to think of something, and a touch of surprise climbed up on her face. Haha, I see. Suddenly, the mysterious lady laughed, a little crazy. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong looked at her suspiciously. This was the first time he saw this woman lose her composure. As I said just now, the Mu family has something on the main tower, and this weakness is enough to destroy his reputation. This time, he probably saw your ability and felt that you have the confidence to get rid of the Mu family, so he agreed to cooperate with you. And as long as the people of the Mu family are dead, then this thing on him can be buried in the ground forever. The mysterious lady smiled, but her smile was a little gloomy. The more Qin Feiyong listened, the more surprised he became. What kind of evidence could cause the chief pagoda master to lose all standing and reputation? The mysterious lady's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and she asked, "Do we act now?" "Wait first. When we can act, I will send you a message." After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he turned off the image crystal. Lu Zheng glanced at the disappearing shadow of the mysterious lady and looked at Qin Feiyong. "You're not really going to split it with her, are you?" "Is it possible?" Qin Feiyong sneered. "I knew it. Even I, your cousin, can't get any benefits from you, let alone an outsider," Lu Zheng said, with a trace of dissatisfaction in his eyes. Qin Feiyong looked at him speechlessly and entered the ancient tower. He immediately saw the seahorse and the seal around Gongsun Bei, talking about something happily. Gongsun Bei, on the other hand, had a cold face. If one looked carefully, they would find that the blue veins on his forehead had been twitching. Obviously, he was about to reach his limit when it came to the seahorse and the seal. "How is it?" Qin Feiyong walked up and asked with a smile. Gongsun Bei turned to look at Qin Feiyong and said, "The main tower master has agreed. The 3 fake gods are on the way, but he has a condition." Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, "What condition?" Gongsun Bei said, "If the plan fails, the Mu family's head must be captured alive and brought to the main tower." "Capture the Mu family's head alive," Qin Feiyong murmured. "Why is that? Could it be that the main tower master is worried that the Mu family will reveal that secret to the world after falling out with them? So he wants to capture the Mu family's head alive and use it as a bargaining chip?" Gongsun Bei said again. "The main tower master also said that if you can't do it, the plan will be cancelled." Qin Feiyong narrowed his eyes. His previous guess should be right. The main tower master is afraid that the Mu family will reveal that secret. It seems that the situation of the Forgotten Continent is more complicated than he thought. "Can you do it?" Seeing Qin Feiyong silent, Gongsun Bei frowned. "Of course. I can do it." Qin Feiyong laughed. Chapter 1324. Next, the two of them discussed the details and returned to the ancient castle. At this time, the Mu family members who went out to search returned one after another. "How was it?" the Mu family had asked. A middle-aged man said, "We searched inside and outside the sacred mountain, but we didn't find anyone suspicious." "What about the green snake?" Fong Lao asked. Someone said, "We found a lot of green snakes, but most of them didn't have intelligence, so we couldn't get anything out of them." It seems that some beasts that didn't have intelligence accidentally broke in and triggered the mechanism. Fong Lao whispered and secretly sighed in relief. The Mu family head looked at Fong Lao and smiled. "Actually, I also think that you're overthinking. After all, we have the protection of the barrier. Who has the ability to sneak in without anyone noticing? It's better to be safe than sorry." Fong Lao faintly smiled and glanced at everyone. He waved his hand and said, "Since you didn't find anything, then let's go back." Everyone nodded and entered the stone tower one after another. The Mu family head and Old Hai looked at each other and smiled, then turned and flew away. False alarm. Inside the ancient castle, Gongsun Bei smiled. Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered as he controlled the ancient castle and flew towards the herb field. "Where are we going?" Gongsun Bei was suspicious, Just wait and see. Qin Feiyang mysteriously smiled. Buzz. At this time, Gongsun Bei's image crystal buzzed. He took out the image crystal and the image of a black-clothed old man quickly condensed. It was the former deputy pavilion master of the trading pavilion. Qin Feiyang looked at him while controlling the ancient castle. Back then, this person's body was bent, his breath was weak, and his eyes were dim. But now, his old body was extremely strong. His breath was also very strong, and his eyes were like two sharp blades, giving people a bone-piercing sharpness. Little friend, long time no see. The deputy pavilion master was also looking at Qin Feiyang with a smile on his face. But in his heart, he was extremely shocked. He didn't expect Qin Feiyang to have broken through to a 2-star combat emperor so quickly. At this speed, it wouldn't take long for him to catch up with these old antiques. It hasn't been that long. Qin Feiyang smiled. For you, it hasn't been that long. But for this old man, before I make a breakthrough to the semi-divinity realm, every day feels like a year. The vice pavilion master said. Isn't the bitterness over and the sweetness over now? Qin Feiyang said. The vice pavilion master chuckled and said, Let's catch up when we have time. Let's deal with business first. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, Where are you now? The vice pavilion master said, We'll be right outside the entrance, waiting for orders. Is there anyone guarding the entrance? Qin Feiyang said, Yes, there's more than one. The vice pavilion master said, How many? Qin Feiyang frowned. 5. They are all 9-star battle emperors. The vice pavilion master said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, If it's just a 9-star battle emperor, it's not enough for you guys to warm up. The vice pavilion master smiled and didn't say anything, but his face was full of confidence. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. All right then, you guys hide there first and wait for our news. The vice pavilion master nodded, and the phantom quickly dissipated. Soon, Qin Feiyang drove the ancient castle and arrived above the herb field again. Wait for me. Qin Feiyang turned his head and said to Gongsun Bei. Then, he entered the ancient tower and took out the image crystal. Buzz. The phantom of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house immediately appeared. We can begin, Qin Feiyang said, his eyes shining. Got it. You be careful too. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house reminded him. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded, then put away the image crystal and returned to the ancient castle. He looked at Lu Zheng and smiled. Are there any armchairs? Of course. Lu Zheng waved his hand, and 3 armchairs appeared. The 2 of them sat on them. You sit too. Lu Zheng looked at Gongsun Bei and smiled. Then, he took out 2 wine jugs from his chinkuan bag and looked at Qin Feiyang. Little cousin, do you want some? Of course. Qin Feiyang grinned and took a wine jug. Then, the 2 of them lay on the armchairs, drinking leisurely while watching the old man in the white robe on the screen. There was no tension at all. This scene left Gongsun Bei in a daze. But the next moment, he became angry and shouted, What are you doing? Do you know what the situation is now? You're still in the mood to drink? Lu Zheng smiled and said, No matter what you do, you have to be calm and take it step by step. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, That's right. Haste makes waste. Gongsun Bei's face was filled with anger. But Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei only cared about drinking and ignored him. In the end, Gongsun Bei was no longer angry. He sat down beside the 2 of them and said with a sullen face, Is there any more wine? You can have as much as you want. Lu Zheng grinned, took out a wine jug, and threw it to Gongsun Bei. I want to see what tricks you guys are playing. Gongsun Bei snorted through his nose, grabbed the wine pot, raised his head, and took a big gulp. At the same time, endless sea. Mother, Qin Feiyang has news. We can take action now. On the peak of the mountain, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house looked at the mysterious lady and said. The mysterious lady opened her eyes, and 2 cold lights burst out. She stood up and looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, saying, Don't worry about this matter. Focus on cultivating in seclusion. Teacher is trapped in the sword edge. How can I cultivate in peace? The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house sighed. The mysterious lady said helplessly, "Child, you are full of good points, but you are too emotional. Isn't that good?" "I know, but all these years, it was teacher who accompanied me and took care of me. He even raised me. And you? Although you gave birth to me, have you ever taken care of me? No. So, in terms of feelings, my feelings for teacher are deeper than yours. Teacher is my family, and I can't bear to part with him." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, her words filled with sadness. The mysterious lady fell silent and looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house with a complicated expression. After a long time, she patted the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house on the shoulder and said apologetically, "Child, it's all Mother's fault. Mother has let you down." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, "I don't want to be sorry. I just want you to save teacher." "Okay, okay, okay. I'll go and rescue your teacher later." The mysterious lady smiled. "Really?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house asked. "When have I ever lied to you?" The mysterious lady shook her head and smiled, asking, "Do you know why I agreed to cooperate with Qin Feiyang this time?" "Why?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house was curious. "It's because I want to save your teacher. This time, the fake gods of the main tower have all gone to the Mu family. The strongest people in the main tower now are Wang Su and the other elders. With their strength, can they stop me?" The mysterious lady smiled. "I see." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house suddenly understood. "Actually, this time, we have joined forces with the main tower and Qin Feiyang to deal with the Mu family. We all have our own plans. The only difference is, who will be the big winner this time?" The mysterious lady said. "Then who does Mother think will be the big winner in the end?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house asked. "Of course it's us. First, we can take the opportunity to save your teacher. Second, we can disintegrate the Mu family's power. Third, the Mu family's medicinal field." The mysterious lady smiled. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house chuckled and said, "So Mother has already planned this? What a joke. Why don't you see who we are cooperating with this time? If you don't use your brain more when cooperating with Qin Feiyang, you will definitely fall into his hands in the end." The mysterious lady snorted coldly. "I didn't expect Mother to be afraid of someone." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house covered her mouth and laughed. "I'm afraid of him? He's just a little bastard who hasn't even grown out his hair. What can he do?" The mysterious lady's face was full of disdain. "Really?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house looked at her with a smile. "Nonsense," the mysterious lady said angrily, but when she looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, she couldn't help but feel guilty. "That's it. You can go into seclusion and cultivate in peace. I promise to bring your teacher to you unscathed." After hurriedly throwing down these words, the mysterious lady soared into the air and rushed to the sky above a canyon like lightning. She lowered her head and scanned the canyon, saying, "Old friend, come out for a moment." Whoosh! Not long after, a middle-aged man rushed out of the canyon and landed in front of the mysterious lady. This person was the false god who had helped the mysterious lady many times in the past. Moreover, his strength had also reached the peak of the false god realm. He was a super terrifying supreme existence. "What's wrong?" the middle-aged man asked. "Qin Feiyang asked me to cooperate." The mysterious lady quickly and briefly explained the situation. The middle-aged man frowned and said, "Then what are your plans?" "You go deal with Yiglao. I'll go to the main tower to save people," the mysterious lady said. The middle-aged man said, "I really don't want to get involved in your dispute anymore. However, for the sake of our past relationship, I promise to help you. However, you will owe me a favor from now on." "No problem." The mysterious lady nodded. "Then let's go," the middle-aged man said. The two of them opened a teleportation gate at the same time and walked in without looking back. At the same time, 100 miles away, there was a small island. On the island, there were rocks and bushes, and some sea beasts could be seen wandering on the island. In the center of the island, there was a mountain peak that was 100 feet tall. On the side of the cliff, two old men stood side by side. One of them was wearing a white robe, and his body was straight. His white hair fluttered in the wind. and he looked like a celestial being. However, if one looked carefully, they would be able to find a strong trace of hostility between his brows. That's right. This person was the great ancestor of the Mu family. As for the other person, he was dressed in green and had a mask covering his face. Only a pair of slightly sinister eyes could be seen. He was undoubtedly Yigleo. The great ancestor of the Mu family frowned and asked in a low voice, "Yigleo, what's the point of us waiting here? We might as well do it directly." Do it directly? It's easy to say. Do you know how terrifying that middle-aged man's strength is? I can tell you responsibly that if we do it directly, both sides will suffer, and in the end, it will benefit the main tower. Chapter 1325. Then how long do we have to wait? The Mu family ancestor frowned. Don't worry. They will separate sooner or later. As long as they separate, we can break them one by one. Yigleo said coldly. The current situation in the Forgotten Continent is very delicate. The Mu family, the main tower, and the mysterious madam, the three of them formed a stalemate. And this stalemate, no one wants to break first. If the Mu family and the mysterious madam really go to war, the main tower will benefit in the end. The same is true. If the Mu family and the main tower go to war, the mysterious madam will benefit. And if the mysterious madam and the main tower go to war, then in the end, the Mu family will definitely be the fishermen to reap the benefits. So, none of them want to make the first move, unless they have full confidence. The Mu family ancestor suddenly said, "I heard that Qin Feiyang is back. I don't know where he is hiding now. It's best not to appear in front of this old man, otherwise he will suffer." Yigleo coldly snorted. After the robbery of the divine crystal, the Mu family now hates Qin Feiyang to the bone. Swish. But before his voice faded, the middle-aged man suddenly descended on the island. His aura was not concealed at all. And? Yigleo and the Mu family ancestor were shocked. What is this person doing here? The middle-aged man glanced at the island. His eyes flashed with killing intent. The power of the false god roared out, like a huge wave, rushing towards the island. Oh no, it seems that we have been discovered. Yigleo suddenly changed color, hurriedly grabbed the Mu family ancestor, and flew away like lightning. Just as they left, the power of the false god arrived, accompanied by a loud bang. The entire island was instantly annihilated. The sea within a radius of hundreds of miles was set off huge waves that blotted out the sky. Yigleo stood in the sky, watching this scene. He couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. If he was a step later, the Mu family ancestor would have died on the spot. After all, he was only a 9-star war emperor, and Yigleo would have been seriously injured. Yigleo turned to look at the middle-aged man and said in a deep voice, "How did you know we were here?" Even though he and the Mu clan's ancestor had been staying on this island all this time, they had been hiding their presence and had never exposed themselves. However, this person had attacked as soon as he arrived. It was obvious that he knew they were hiding here. The middle-aged man said contemptuously, "You think you can hide here without anyone noticing, but you don't know that I already knew from the first day you came. How is this possible?" Yigleo's face was filled with disbelief. Could it be that there was a spy in the clan who was secretly informing this person? No, he immediately rejected this idea. Because in the entire Mu clan, only a few people knew that he and the great ancestor had come to the Endless Sea, and these few people were the leaders of the Mu clan, so they could not be spies. There must be other factors. Nothing is impossible. In the Endless Ocean, there's nothing that I don't know. The middle-aged man smiled proudly. Boom. That terrifying divine might fell from the sky like a waterfall, pouncing toward the two. Retreat. Yigleo's expression changed. He didn't even look back as he shouted at the Mu clan's ancestor. His body shook as he unleashed his godly chi and rushed forward. Boom. The two godly chi collided, and an invisible wave of air rushed out in all directions, setting off huge waves that drowned the sky. Puff. Yigleo immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. The middle-aged man, on the other hand, only took a step back with a calm expression. Yigleo suppressed the surging blood in his heart and said in a deep voice, "Where's that woman? Why didn't she come?" The middle-aged man's eyes flashed, and he said expressionlessly, "She went to the main tower to save people, but it doesn't matter if she's there or not, because I alone am enough to kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward, carrying a monstrous amount of godly chi, and rushed toward Yigleo. She went to the main tower to save people? Yigleo was surprised. But suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his spirit was lifted. That's right. The mysterious lady must have gone to save the old man. This was a great opportunity. Yigleo was secretly overjoyed, and quickly sent a message to the Mu clan's ancestor. Send a message back immediately. The Mu clan's ancestor nodded without leaving a trace, and then quietly retreated. The middle-aged man noticed, but he did not pay attention to it, and continued to attack Yigleo. Today is the day you die. Yigleo smiled coldly, and his godly chi erupted, and he did not retreat. Boom! Crash! This place was suddenly flooded by a destructive wave of battle. The void shattered, and the sea rolled. The sea beasts below were killed and injured, and blood stained thousands of miles. At the same time the middle-aged man made his move, the mysterious lady appeared out of thin air above the sword peak of the main tower. Who is it? Immediately, a violent shout exploded below, and then a black-robed old man rushed out from the sword peak, and his aura surged. It was a 9-star war emperor. "It's me," the mysterious lady said coldly. When the black-robed old man heard this voice, he was shocked, and then when he saw the mysterious lady's face, his face suddenly turned pale, and he roared, "Be alert! Your main tower's fake gods have gone to the Mu clan now. What are you going to do?" The mysterious lady smiled contemptuously, took a step forward, and landed in front of the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man's body tightened, and he retreated without hesitation. Because now, the main tower and the Mu clan knew that the mysterious lady was a fake god. However, at this moment, he did not think that in front of a fake god, he could escape. Obviously, he could not. The mysterious lady's index finger pointed in the air, and a fake god's power burst out, and it entered the black-robed old man's lower abdomen. Suddenly, blood burst out. "Ah!" the black-robed old man screamed, and on the spot, he held his lower abdomen and chased down powerlessly. Unexpectedly, the mysterious lady did not kill him, but turned into a stream of light, and instantly disappeared from the sword peak below. What's going on? This aura, it seems like a fake god. Because of the mysterious lady's appearance, the main tower suddenly became a mess. Whoosh! In the mountain range deep in the main tower, rays of light rushed into the sky, and then flew toward the sword peak. Without exception, they were all combat emperors. And the disciples of the nearby Tin Pill Pagoda and Warrior Mountain Range also rushed toward the sword peak. With such a big thing happening, they definitely wanted to watch the show. But in the end, they were stopped by the Peak Masters and Pagoda Masters. What a joke. A fake god had descended. These disciples running. Aren't they just sending themselves to death? What's going on? An angry shout sounded, and the Pagoda Master descended from the sky above the sword peak. But before his voice faded, the mysterious lady rushed out of the sword peak, and beside her was an old man in white. His body was thin, his face was haggard, and his clothes were dirty and messy, and above his left eye, there was an eye-catching scar. That's right. He was the teacher of the Longfeng Pavilion's Mississippi. It's you. Seeing the mysterious lady, the Pagoda Master's face suddenly changed. That's right. It's me. The mysterious lady looked at the Pagoda Master coldly. The Pagoda Master was very nervous. Now that the fake gods of the main tower had all gone to the Mu clan, no one could compete with the mysterious lady. Even if the mysterious lady destroyed the entire pagoda, he could only watch. In short, the mysterious lady could do whatever she wanted in the pagoda. Don't worry. I won't kill you now, but it's hard to say in the future. The mysterious lady smiled coldly and opened the portal, taking the teacher of the Longfeng Pavilion's miss and left without looking back. What the hell is going on? Why did she appear in the pagoda at this time? Who can give me an answer? When the portal dissipated, the Pagoda Master suddenly roared in exasperation. Those who came looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Swish. Suddenly, accompanied by a sound, Wang Su flew to the front of the pagoda master with the black-clothed old man whose sea of qi was destroyed. Wang Su's face was hazy to the extreme. The pagoda master looked at the black-clothed old man and said, "Tell me, what the hell is going on?" The black-clothed old man shook his head and said, "I don't know. She destroyed my sea of qi as soon as she came. Our fake god went to the Mu clan, and she immediately came to the pagoda master. Is this a coincidence?" Wang Su said in a deep voice. The pagoda master's eyes trembled. He looked at Wang Su and said, "Old Wang, you mean?" Wang Su said, "I think this may be Qin Feiyang's conspiracy." "That's right. That woman also knows that our fake god went to the Mu clan." The black-clothed old man said, "This damn little beast, I shouldn't have believed him." The pagoda master was furious. He stomped his feet in anger. Wang Su couldn't help but clench his fists. The people around also had murderous intent in their eyes. Mu clan's medicinal field. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zhang were still sitting on the armchairs, drinking wine and chatting. Gongsun Bei looked at the old man in the white robe in the picture, his brows tightly knitted into a line. Suddenly, Gongsun Bei raised his head and drank all the wine within the jug. After that, he glared angrily at Qin Feiyang and Jian Wushuang. "Can you be frank and tell me exactly what the two of you are up to? Don't be impatient. I promise I will give you a surprise later." Lu Zheng laughed. Gongsun Bei was furious to the extreme. At this moment, the old man in the white robe in the picture suddenly opened his eyes, then took out an image crystal from his arms. Seeing this situation, Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng suddenly sat up straight, staring at the old man in the white robe, their eyes shining. Buzz. The old man in the white robe activated the image crystal. A shadow quickly appeared. It was the Mu clan's great ancestor. "He's here." Qin Feiyang got up and said, "The good show has finally begun." Lu Zheng also got up, his face full of playfulness. Gongsun Bei turned his head and glanced at the two, then looked back at the old man in the white robe and the Mu clan's great ancestor's shadow in surprise. "How is it?" the old man in the white robe asked. "The mysterious lady went to the pagoda to save people. Now only the middle-aged man is there. Yiglao asked you to come and support him immediately." The Mu clan's great ancestor said, "What? The mysterious lady went to the pagoda?" Gongsun Bei's face changed. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zhang were also shocked. At the same time, the old man in the white robe also had a strong murderous intent in his eyes. He suddenly got up and said, "Coordinates." The Mu clan's great ancestor immediately gave the old man in the white robe a coordinate. "We finally got the chance. This old man wants to see how you can escape this time." Chapter 1326. When the old man in white entered the portal, Gongsun Bei turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said angrily, "What do you mean? Why would the mysterious lady go to my main tower now?" "Whether you believe it or not, I really don't know." Qin Feiyang said, "You don't know? Do you think I'm a fool? If it weren't for you, why would the mysterious lady go to the main tower at this time?" Gongsun Bei roared. Qin Feiyang frowned. This woman really knows how to cause trouble for him. She actually chose this time to go and save people. Now, not only Gongsun Bei, but even the chief tower master must be suspecting that this plan was deliberately set up by him and the mysterious lady to save people. In this way, the chief tower master is very likely to withdraw from this plan. Without the support of the main tower, all his efforts would undoubtedly go down the drain. There is even a possibility that the chief tower master will betray him and join forces with the Mu family to deal with him. One must know, now that he is inside the barrier, if the chief tower really betrays him, then he will be a turtle in a jar with no way out. "What should we do now?" Lu Zheng secretly asked. The plan was originally flawless, but who would have thought that the mysterious lady would make such a fuss at this time? "I don't know." Qin Feiyang had a headache. Buzz. At this time, Gongsun Bei's image crystal made a noise. He looked at Qin Feiyang gloomily and took out the image crystal. The next moment, the chief tower master's image appeared. Whether it was his face or his eyes, it was full of anger. Gongsun Bei asked, "Lord, what's the situation of the chief tower?" They have been rescued,
the chief tower master said solemnly.
Damn it. Gongsun Bei was furious. I shouldn't have trusted you. The chief tower master looked at Qin Feiyong and said to Gongsun Bei, cancel the plan immediately? Yes. Gongsun Bei nodded. Wait. Qin Feiyong hurriedly said. His face was quite ugly. What he worried about really happened. Chief Pagoda Master shouted. Shut up. I won't believe anything you say now. Qin Feiyong looked at Chief Pagoda Master and said, I swear, I really didn't know about this matter. How about this? After the plan succeeds, I will help you snatch the divine crystal back from the mysterious madam. Ha ha. The Chief Tower Master laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He said mockingly, Do you have the ability to do that? Of course I don't have that ability. But the Mu family does. Now, the Mu family and the mysterious madam are fighting in the endless sea. The Mu family has Yigleo, the white-robed old man. Mysterious madam, that middle-aged man is helping. Their strengths are about the same. In the end, both sides will suffer great losses. And when we're done here, we can go and clean up the mess. At that time, wouldn't the divine crystals be ours? We might even be able to catch them all in one fell swoop. Qin Feiyong said. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Chief Pagoda Master was slightly stunned and said in surprise, Are you sure the Mu family and the mysterious madam are fighting in the endless sea? I'm sure.
Because that's what I arranged.
I asked the mysterious madam to lead the Mu family's fake gods to the endless sea. This way, no one can stop us from destroying the 10 stone towers. Qin Feiyong said, Give me the coordinates quickly.
Chief Pagoda Master said impatiently,
I can't give you the coordinates now. When I'm done here, I will personally take you there. Qin Feiyong said. Chief Pagoda Master's eyes flashed, and he said, If I remember correctly, your relationship with the mysterious madam is extraordinary. Why are you betraying her now? Then don't forget, she tried to kill me more than once. Just like when I went to your pagoda to snatch the divine crystals, I was forced by her. Qin Feiyong sneered. What did she force you with?
Chief Pagoda Master frowned.
The lives of millions of people, Qin Feiyong said. Chief Pagoda Master's eyes flashed, and he said, It's hard for me to believe you again. After all, you're too cunning unless... Unless what? Qin Feiyong asked. Chief Pagoda Master said, Give me the most important thing, and after I snatch the divine crystals, we will exchange the money and the goods. Qin Feiyong unnoticeably raised his eyebrows and said, What do you want? The potential pills recipe.
Chief Pagoda Master said,
Do you think it's possible? If I give you the recipe, you can just make a few copies. How can I know? Qin Feiyong sneered. In other words, as long as he gives the recipe to the Chief Pagoda Master, it's like throwing a meat bun to a dog. This is my only condition. If you agree, we will continue to cooperate. If you don't, then don't blame me for being ruthless. You should know what the consequences will be if the Mu family knows your plan at this time. Chief Pagoda Master sneered. The implication was that if he didn't agree, he would tell the Mu family about the plan. In other words, this was a threat to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong's eyes were gloomy. He gritted his teeth and nodded. Okay, I will give you the recipe, and in order to show my sincerity, I will give it to you. Since he knew that there was no return, he might as well be generous. Ha ha! Chief Pagoda Master laughed, his face full of pride, and said, Then there's no time to lose, hurry up. Qin Feiyong turned to look at Dan Wangkai and said, Make a copy of the recipe. Okay. Dan Wangkai nodded and took out a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Soon, a pill recipe appeared. He dried the ink on it and handed it to Qin Feiyong with both hands. Chief Pagoda Master said, Gongsun Bei, can you confirm if there is a mistake? Yes. Gongsun Bei nodded, turned his head and took the recipe from Dan Wangkai, then bowed his head and carefully looked at it. Dan Wangkai frowned. You are not an alchemist. Can you understand it? How do you know that I am not an alchemist? Gongsun Bei smiled and waved his hand. A shining alchemy furnace and a cluster of alchemy fire appeared out of thin air. What? Dan Wangkai's face changed. Qin Feiyong was also surprised. Gongsun Bei was actually an alchemist? And according to his observation, the alchemy furnace and alchemy fire were both 8th grade. Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "Give me a set of herbs. I want to verify it in person." Huh. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and looked at Dan Wangkai. "Give him the herbs." In the past, the herbs were taken care of by Fatso and Lu Hong. But ever since Dan Wangkai came, he was in charge of the herbs. Dan Wangkai nodded, took out a set of herbs from his Chinkuan bag, and gave it to Gongsun Bei. Immediately, Gongsun Bei lit up the alchemy furnace and started refining pills in front of Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong glanced at Dan Wangkai and sent a sound transmission. "Your reaction is so big. Is there a problem with the pill recipe?" Dan Wangkai secretly said, "I originally thought that Gongsun Bei was not an alchemist and the chief pagoda master was outside, so no one could verify the authenticity, so I messed up the steps of refining pills, but I didn't expect." At this point, Dan Wangkai fell silent, feeling extremely bitter in his heart. It was really a case of being too smart for one's own good. Qin Feiyong frowned and looked at Gongsun Bei, who was concentrating on refining pills. His eyes flashed slightly as he sent a sound transmission to Dan Wangkai. "Don't be nervous. No one in the chief pagoda can refine potential pills, so even if Gongsun Bei fails, he can't judge whether it is real or fake." "But what if he keeps refining?" Dan Wangkai asked calmly. Qin Feiyong secretly said, "I'll handle it." Dan Wangkai secretly let out a sigh of relief. With the young master personally taking action, the problem shouldn't be big. Boom. Unsurprisingly, before he reached the step of fusing the spirit liquid, Gongsun Bei failed, and all the herbs turned into ashes. "What's going on?" The chief pagoda master raised his eyebrows and asked Gongsun Bei, "Is the pill recipe fake?" Whether the pill recipe is fake or not, this subordinate doesn't know, but this potential pill is very difficult to refine. Gongsun Bei frowned and looked at Qin Feiyong. "Give me another set of herbs." Dan Wangkai said angrily, "Do you know how precious a set of potential pills herbs are?" "Why? Guilty? Is there really a problem with this pill recipe?" Gongsun Bei said, "You're twisting words and forcing logic." Dan Wangkai almost went berserk. Qin Feiyong said indifferently, "True gold fears no fire. Give it to him." "Yes." Dan Wangkai sighed and took out another set of herbs and gave it to Gongsun Bei. There was no suspense. In the end, it also ended in failure. What's going on? This time, whether it's the heat or the steps, there is no problem. How can it fail? Gongsun Bei frowned. The chief pagoda master's eyes turned and fell on Qin Feiyong. "Is this a real pill recipe?" "Nonsense. You're threatening me. Do you think I dare to give you a fake one?" Qin Feiyong said angrily. The chief pagoda master said, "Then why did Gongsun Bei fail one after another? Do you think the potential pill is so easy to refine? Let me tell you, refining the potential pill is countless times more difficult than refining other pills. Whether it's the heat or the time to extract the spiritual liquid, it must be done perfectly. And most importantly, when refining the potential pill, the heart must be as still as water. The slightest emotional fluctuation will result in failure. Back then, when I was refining the potential pill, I wasted hundreds of sets of herbs before I slowly grasped the trick and succeeded." And he, Qin Feiyong, sneered and pointed at Dan Wangkai. "His talent in alchemy is not worse than mine, but he also wasted more than 300 sets of herbs before he succeeded. Gongsun Bei wants to succeed after just 1 or 2 tries. Do you think it's possible? Or do you think his alchemy talent is better than mine?" The chief pagoda master raised his eyebrows. In terms of alchemy talent, no one in the chief pagoda can compare with Qin Feiyong. Now, time is tight. I can't wait for Gongsun Bei to succeed. If you don't believe me, then send a message to the Mu clan and tell them I'm here. But you have to think carefully. Although you can kill me by doing this, the Mu clan will make a move on your chief pagoda sooner or later, because their ambition is not only to rule the great Qin Empire, but also to rule the Forgotten Continent. Of course, if you are confident that you can stop the Mu clan's army with just the chief pagoda's strength, then pretend I didn't say these words. Chapter 1327. The chief pagoda master's face was gloomy. He really couldn't tell which of Qin Feiyang's words was true and which were false. The battle in the endless sea must have erupted. We don't have much time to waste. Hurry up and make a decision, Qin Feiyang urged. Endless sea. Yiglao and the middle-aged man fought fiercely. The sea area within a radius of thousands of miles was covered by huge waves. But relatively speaking, the middle-aged man's strength was stronger than Yiglao. Every time he attacked, he would cause Yiglao indelible injuries. However, Yiglao wasn't discouraged. On the contrary, his fighting spirit was high and his fighting spirit soared into the sky. Because he knew that reinforcements were already on the way. And in the battle between the fake gods, the Mu family's ancestor, a 9-star war emperor, naturally couldn't intervene. He could only stand in the distance and worry. Swish. Suddenly, the white-robed old man arrived. Seeing the white-robed old man appear, whether it was Yiglao or the Mu family's ancestor, they were all overjoyed. The white-robed old man didn't stop at all and directly joined the battle. As a super overlord at the peak of the fake god realm, the white-robed old man's strength naturally couldn't be underestimated. In an instant, the middle-aged man fell below and was suppressed by the two of them. Divine power surged and huge waves roared. Wherever the three of them went, the void crazily cracked. Black hurricanes roared out from the void cracks, exuding a sharp aura that could destroy the world, shaking the sky. In less than 10 breaths, the middle-aged man's body was covered in blood. But not only was he not nervous at all, the coldness on his face was even stronger, because he also knew that his reinforcements would arrive soon. What exactly are you? With such strength, you can completely dominate a region, but why are you that woman's pawn? The white-robed old man shouted. The middle-aged man remained silent and waved his hands again and again. The power of the fake god was like a tide, surging and rushing towards the two. You are really stubborn. Since you want to die, this old man will fulfill your wish. The white-robed old man shouted. You don't have the strength yet. The middle-aged man finally spoke. His face was full of contempt. The white-robed old man flew into a rage out of humiliation and looked at Yiglao. Killing intent surged in his eyes. Immediately after, the two of them waved their hands at the same time. Their false divinity energy surged out like two giant pythons and collided with the middle-aged man's false divinity energy. Puff. The middle-aged man immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His body and mind trembled as he was sent flying like a meteorite. You are a pinnacle false divinity, and so am I, but now, I have Yiglao's help. What do you have? You're all alone now. How are you going to fight me? The white-robed old man laughed disdainfully. Together with Yiglao, they charged towards the middle-aged man at lightning speed. Are we competing in numbers? Then I'm afraid we have more people than you. But at this moment, a cold laugh rang out. The mysterious madam and the teacher of the mists of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion appeared above the middle-aged man's head out of thin air. The white-robed old man and Yiglao immediately stopped in midair. They stared at the mysterious madam and the old man in disbelief. What's going on? He actually came back so quickly? What were the people from the main tower doing? One had to know. The main tower also had a false god overseeing it. And this time, the mysterious madam went to the main tower alone. How could she save them so easily? That's not right. There's something wrong with this. The white-robed old man's body trembled. He turned his head to look at the great ancestor of the Mu clan and shouted, Quickly send a message back and let the patriarch investigate. What exactly happened in the main tower? There's no chance. The mysterious madam chuckled and looked at the teacher of the mists of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. Go and kill him. And the old man nodded and turned into a stream of light, rushing towards the great ancestor of the Mu clan. Seeing this, the great ancestor of the Mu clan's expression changed, and he quickly opened the teleportation gate. Stay here, the white-robed old man shouted. With a wave of his hand, the power of the false god rushed towards the old man with a monstrous baleful aura. But the old man turned a blind eye. Just as the power of the false god was about to reach the old man, the middle-aged man smiled coldly and said, The real battle has just begun. He took a step forward and instantly landed in front of the old man. He raised his arm and slapped out. With a loud bang, the power of the false god suddenly disintegrated. "Stop him!" the white-robed old man shouted. Yigleo's eyes turned cold. He crossed the void and blocked in front of Yigleo. However, at the same time, the mysterious madam took a step forward and stood in front of Yigleo. "Your opponent is me, and today, the new and old hatred between us will be settled together." The mysterious madam smiled coldly and directly stepped forward. Her divine power erupted and slapped at Yigleo. The void in front of him immediately shattered. Seeing this, Yigleo's heart sank and quickly counterattacked. Boom! The battle between the middle-aged man and the white-robed old man also began at the same time. As soon as the four false gods attacked, the world suddenly dimmed. The sea waves rolled, and the sea beasts lurking at the bottom of the sea couldn't help but flee. "Go! You must find out!" The white-robed old man roared at the great ancestor of the Mu clan without looking back. In the blink of an eye. At this moment, the portal had already opened. When the great ancestor of the Mu clan heard the white-robed old man's words, he immediately rushed in. "If I can't even keep a mere 9-star combat emperor, wouldn't that be the biggest joke in the world?" The teacher of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house had a look of contempt. He raised his hand and pointed in the air. A false god power swept out and cut through the sky like lightning, blasting on the portal. Boom! The portal shattered on the spot, and the great ancestor of the Mu clan, who was about to be teleported away, immediately fell out of the void. His entire body was dripping with blood. "Run!" Yigleo shouted anxiously. The great ancestor of the Mu clan was terrified and turned around to jump into the sea below. "Is there any point in struggling like this?" The teacher of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled disdainfully. His old body shook and a mighty divine power broke out of his body. It was like a rolling torrent, drowning the sky. The great ancestor of the Mu clan was immediately imprisoned in the void with a face of despair. Damn it! The white-robed old man and Yigleo were burning with anxiety. They desperately wanted to get rid of the mysterious madam and the middle-aged man to rescue them. But the strength of the mysterious madam and the middle-aged man was not inferior to theirs. They could not find a chance at all. After letting you jump around for so many years, it's time to send you to hell to report. That's right. The demon child and the second ancestor of the Mu clan should still be waiting for you in hell. The teacher of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house smiled coldly. His divine power soared several times and oppressed the great ancestor of the Mu clan from all directions. Ah! The great ancestor of the Mu clan immediately howled miserably. Blood spurted out of the pores all over his body. He felt as if his body was being crazily squeezed by several large mountains. The aura of death had descended. He was completely desperate. The white-robed old man and Yigleo also roared towards the sky. Their eyes were blood-red. They were like two mad beasts, desperately attacking the mysterious madam and the middle-aged man. However, the mysterious madam and the middle-aged man did not panic at all. They dealt with every move and never gave them a chance to rescue the great ancestor of the Mu clan. Ah! The screams of the great ancestor of the Mu clan resounded through the sky. He had never been so helpless as at this moment. Very soon, he turned into a bloody man. Blood flowed down his body like raindrops and floated down to the sea below. His originally sharp gaze also gradually dimmed. His life fluctuations were also slowly weakening. "Even if I die, I won't let you have it easy." But suddenly, he suddenly roared, and a destructive aura rushed out of his body. Obviously, he wanted to self-destruct. However, the old man's expression did not change. Even if one looked carefully, one would find that there was a hint of ridicule in his eyes. Boom! The great ancestor of the Mu clan, with unresolvable despair and resentment, self-destructed. A wave of chi that could destroy the world suddenly surged out. It was like a raging wave in a vast ocean, rushing in all directions. But the old man just waved his hand gently, and the wave of air dissipated. Looking at his body again, there was not the slightest scar. Even his clothes and hair were not damaged in the slightest. Naive. The old man smiled contemptuously and turned to look at Yigleo and the white-robed old man. Whoosh! Suddenly, he rushed out, with a monstrous, murderous aura, toward Yigleo. Yigleo's expression changed and hurriedly sent a voice transmission to the white-robed old man. They now have 3 fake gods. We are no match for them. Quickly find a way to retreat. The white-robed old man said in a deep voice, "This is obviously a death trap. They will not give us a chance to retreat. Then what should we do?" Yigleo was at a loss. "There is no other way. We can only fight to the death." The white-robed old man's face was ferocious. "Are you desperate? However, what really makes you desperate is not here, but in your nest." The mysterious lady sneered. "What do you mean?" The two were surprised. "Don't you want to know why I can save people from the main tower so easily? Now I will tell you. Because the fake gods of the main tower went to your Mu clan's nest." The mysterious lady laughed. "What?" The two's expression changed. Yigleo said in surprise, "This is a trap set by you and the main tower? You have already joined hands?" "Wrong. This death trap is not a masterpiece of me and the main tower. It is Qin Feiyong. He is now in your Mu clan." The mysterious lady laughed. Qin Feiyong. Yigleo and the mysterious lady were like a bolt from the blue, rumbling in their mind. This little beast came back just to deal with the Mu clan? This time, me, Qin Feiyong, and the main tower, 3 sides, even if your Mu clan can defy the heavens, I am afraid you can't stop us. And now, Qin Feiyong should also make his move. The mysterious lady joked. Damn it, damn it. Yigleo and the mysterious lady roared again and again. It's you who deserve to die. The mysterious lady roared. Her whole temperament changed in an instant, like a devil descending from the heavens. Her eyes were full of resentment and hatred. That's right. Your Mu clan is the one who deserves to die the most. Today, even if I have to risk my life, this old man will kill you to avenge the blood feud of that year. The teacher of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house also seemed to have changed in an instant. His murderous aura soared to the sky. Looking at the changes in the two, Yigleo and the old man in white robe were surprised. What blood feud? How come they don't remember? The moment you die, we will tell you. The old man smiled ferociously, and with a surging divine aura, he rushed forward crazily. A bloody battle began. Chapter 1328. The fierce battle in the endless ocean had already reached its climax. However, the Mu family's base was still in a peaceful atmosphere. They did not notice that danger had arrived at all. Inside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyong looked at the chief tower master's phantom, his face full of impatience. Buzz. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's image crystal rang. Qin Feiyong took out the image crystal, and the phantom of the Dragon Phoenix house's young lady quickly condensed. The Dragon Phoenix house's young lady asked, "Have you started?" "Not yet." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "No?" The Dragon Phoenix house's young lady was stunned and said angrily, "It hasn't started yet. What are you doing?" "There's a situation." Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. "What's the situation?" The Dragon Phoenix house's young lady was puzzled. Qin Feiyong glanced at her and directly turned off the image crystal. If the mysterious madam had not taken the opportunity to run to the chief tower to save people, how could things have turned out like this? Qin Feiyong looked at the chief tower master and said in a deep voice, "You've seen it too. They're already urging me. Please make a decision quickly, okay?" The chief tower master gritted his teeth and said, "All right, I'll believe you once more, but don't forget the promise you made to me before. After the plan succeeds, help me get the divine crystal back." "Don't worry, I'll definitely get the divine crystal back." Qin Feiyong sneered. At first glance, there was nothing wrong with this sentence. But if one thought about it carefully, one would be able to figure out the meaning. Because in this sentence, there was no mention of giving the divine crystal to the chief tower. The chief tower master glanced at him, then looked at Gongsun Bei and said, "Take good care of the pill formula. If it's lost, I'll hold you responsible." "Yes." Gongsun Bei responded respectfully, then folded the pill formula, put it into a jade box, and kept it in his chi. This represented his determination. If Qin Feiyang wanted to snatch back the pill formula, he would have to kill him. But he did not know that Qin Feiyang had no such intention at all, because the pill formula was fake. Then you guys can do it. The Chief Tower Master glanced at Qin Feiyang and Gongsun Bei before turning off the image crystal. Lu Zheng immediately looked at Gongsun Bei and said, "Inform the 3 Vice Pavilion Masters to charge in immediately." Charge in? Gongsun Bei was bewildered. He frowned and said, "We don't know the foundation of the main tower yet. Isn't it inappropriate to barge in like this?" "Then do you think they can sneak in without anyone noticing?" Lu Zheng asked in return. Gongsun Bei shook his head. Not only were there 3 layers of illusions at the entrance of the Mu clan, but there was also a 9-star Emperor Beast hidden in the illusions within the canyon. The divine power barrier was also guarded by Mu Yuan. If he wanted to sneak into this place silently, he would have to be like Qin Feiyang, who had a spatial divine item that could make him invisible. At this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly said, "Killing our way in is indeed inappropriate." Lu Zheng frowned. "If we kill our way in, the Mu family will find out in advance. By then, they will be prepared, and we won't be able to catch them off guard. So, we have to think of a way to let the Vice Pavilion Masters and the others sneak in first," Qin Feiyang said. Lu Zheng said, "Are you planning to go out and meet them personally?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Lu Zheng said, "Then tell me, how do we pass through the divine power barrier?" Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. Suddenly, his eyes flashed and he said with a smile, "Go find Mu Yuan." Immediately, he drove the ancient castle, left the herb field, and rushed in the direction of Mu Yuan. At the same time, he said to Gongsun Bei, "Send a message to the Vice Pavilion Masters and ask them to wait for me outside the canyon. Remember, hide your presence." Gongsun Bei nodded. Outside the entrance, 5 middle-aged men stood on the mountain peak and scanned the surroundings. Their eyes were extremely sharp. They were the 5 9-star combat emperors who had replaced Mu Dahue to guard the entrance. Swoosh! But suddenly, 3 old men descended on the mountain peak. "Who is it?" The 5 men immediately shouted, murderous intent flashing in their eyes. But when they looked up and saw the faces of the 3 men, their expressions changed. That's right. The 3 old men who had suddenly appeared were the 3 false gods from the main tower. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they attacked aggressively and instantly killed the 5 men. Not even their bones were left behind. Then, the 3 of them did not stop at all. They landed on the mountain peak, hid their presence, and directly stepped into the sea of clouds and appeared in front of the canyon. They were all false gods and had hidden their presence to the extreme. The 9-star Emperor Beast in the canyon would definitely not be able to sense them. The Vice Pavilion Master scanned the canyon and said, "The canyon that Gongsun Bei mentioned should be here. Then let's wait for them here." The other 2 old men smiled and curiously looked at the illusion in the canyon. At this moment, Qin Feiyang had also driven the ancient castle into the city and came to Mu Yuan's side. Mu Yuan was still sitting on the stone pillar, but compared to before, he was much more vigilant now. He stared straight at the canyon opposite him. However, he did not notice the ancient castle floating beside him at all. "Wait for me." In the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang said to Lu Zheng and Gongsun Bei before entering the ancient tower. Standing above a mountain range, he shouted, "Seahorse, seal, bring your underlings and gather here immediately." Roar! Accompanied by the roars of beasts, a group of 9-star Emperor Beasts rose from the mountain stream and flew toward Qin Feiyang. "Boss Qin, something happened again?" The seal and seal were the first to arrive and asked in surprise.
"Yes."
Qin Feiyang nodded. When the other 9-star Emperor Beasts arrived, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and an image appeared in the void. The image showed Mu Yuan. Although he could not hear the sounds of the outside world in the ancient tower, he could see the situation outside, just like in the ancient castle. Of course, only Qin Feiyang, the owner of the ancient tower, could do this.
"I'll bring him in later."
Once he comes in, attack immediately. Don't give him any chance to resist. Qin Feiyang looked at Seahorse and the other beasts and reminded them, "Understood." The The beasts roared and their emperor Aura roared, ready to attack. Qin Feiyang's face was full of smiles. These were all his strong backing. Of course, this was the credit of the imperial tutor because he had trained them. If there was a chance in the future, he must thank the imperial tutor. And now, it was more important to deal with the Mu family. He looked at Mu Yuan with murderous intent in his eyes. He waved his hand, and the unprepared Mu Yuan appeared in the void in front of him. What's going on? Mu Yuan was shocked as he scanned his surroundings. So many emperor beasts? But when he saw Qin Feiyang, his face was full of disbelief. Welcome to my world. Qin Feiyang grinned. Roar. Before his voice died away, a group of 9-star emperor beasts suddenly bared their fangs and swarmed forward. Facing the bombardment of 80 to 99-star emperor beasts, even if Mu Yuan was also a 9-star combat emperor, he could not withstand it. In just an instant, his whole body was covered in wounds, and his flesh was badly mutilated, and his chi-si was pierced by a 9-star emperor beast with a big hole, and blood spurted out like a fountain. Back off. At the order of Seahorse and Seal, all the 9-star emperor beasts immediately retreated to the side. Qin Feiyang released his emperor aura and imprisoned Mu Yuan in the void. Then, he walked toward Mu Yuan step by step. Why are you here? Did you kill Mu Dahui and Mu Sheng? Mu Yuan stared at Qin Feiyang in shock and anger. It's too late to find out now. Qin Feiyang chuckled and walked in front of Mu Yuan. He grabbed Mu Yuan's chinkuan bag and lowered his head to check. What are you looking for? Mu Yuan was surprised and suddenly seemed to think of something. He said in surprise, could it be? That's right. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the token to open the divine power barrier suddenly appeared. Damn it! How did you sneak in? From Mu Dahui's death until now, I have only opened the divine power barrier twice. Once to go out, and the other time to come back. At this point, Mu Yuan's body shook and said, I understand. You took advantage of the time when I opened the divine power barrier and went to the entrance to check the situation to sneak into my Mu family. Qin Feiyang glanced at him indifferently, then took the token and went to the ancient castle. And Mu Yuan's fate must be very miserable. After all, whether it was Seahorse, Seal, or other 9-star emperor beasts, they were not kind people. Inside the ancient castle, looking at the token in Qin Feiyang's hand, Lu Zheng and Gong Sun Bei were overjoyed. They finally understood what Qin Feiyang had done just now. With this token, not only can the Deputy Pavilion Master and the others sneak in without anyone noticing, but when we retreat, there will be no hindrance at all. Well done. Gong Sun Bei gave him a thumbs up and praised. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, took a disguise elixir, changed into Mu Yuan's appearance, and left the ancient castle. He did this just in case. If he didn't change his appearance, if someone suddenly ran over when Qin Feiyang opened the divine power barrier, wouldn't his identity be exposed? Lu Zheng, your little cousin is really amazing. Gong Sun Bei looked at this scene and shook his head and sighed. The fear in his heart for Qin Feiyang increased a little. No matter what he did, he could think of all aspects without leaving any loopholes. Such a meticulous mind was beyond the reach of those old antiques who had lived for thousands of years. Lu Zheng smiled proudly and said, So, after this plan succeeds, you'd better go back and persuade the Chief Tower Master not to be my little cousin's enemy. Otherwise, he will be the one to suffer in the end. Gong Sun Bei glanced at him and fell silent. Outside, Qin Feiyang stood on the stone pillar, glanced around, then waved his hand and the token flew away. Buzz. Soon, a light door appeared. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly, grabbed the token, and rushed out like lightning. Then, he entered the ancient castle and drove the ancient castle straight to the entrance of the canyon. Lu Zheng secretly said, Little cousin, when the 3 fake gods enter the ancient castle, you have to be careful. I know, but I don't think they will dare to do anything at this time. Qin Feiyang said telepathically. It's better to be safe than sorry. Lu Zheng said, I'll be careful. Qin Feiyang secretly replied. After a while, the ancient castle appeared above the entrance of the canyon, and the 3 deputy pavilion masters immediately entered the image. Seniors, don't resist. Suddenly, Chapter 1329. It was the first time for the three vice pavilion masters to come to the castle. Looking at everything here, their eyes were full of curiosity. But soon, the curiosity in their eyes was replaced by doubt. Is this what the castle looks like? What can be done in such a small space? Also, were the people and ferocious beasts in the castle all of Qin Feiyang's trump cards? At the same time, after Qin Feiyang took the facial restoration pill and restored his true appearance, he drove the castle back the way he came. However, he had been secretly paying attention to the actions of the three. Lu Zhang was right. One must always be vigilant. The vice pavilion master glanced at Dan Wangkai, Wolf King, and the other beasts. The more he looked, the more surprised he became. If Qin Feiyang only has this much strength, how can he be so arrogant? Could it be, had he been putting on an act all along? If that was the case, then this time, can he also get rid of Qin Feiyang? In this way, not only can he severely damage the Mu family, but he can also get rid of Qin Feiyang. The most important thing is that he can get this castle. For this castle, not only the state preceptor and Lu Xingqian, but also the people of the main tower have been coveting it for a long time. The vice pavilion master looked at the other two old men. The two old men also looked at the vice pavilion master, their eyes flashing. Obviously, they were thinking the same thing. The vice pavilion master glanced at Qin Feiyang's back quietly and secretly asked, Gongsun Bei, what's going on? Gongsun Bei was taken aback. When he saw the eyes of the three old men, he hurriedly said, the three of you, don't act rashly. Qin Feiyang's real strength is not in this castle. Then where is it? The three old men were shocked. The ancient tower. There is an ancient tower next to him. It is also a spatial divine object, but the space inside the ancient tower is countless times larger than this castle. If you don't know in advance, you will definitely mistakenly think that it is a complete world. Gongsun Bei secretly said, have you been there? The vice pavilion master secretly asked. Yes, I have. However, he was very vigilant and had the two 9-star monarch beasts keep an eye on me. I didn't have the chance to check out the situation inside the ancient pagoda. However, I can faintly sense the aura of many 9-star combat emperors in the ancient pagoda. Gongsun Bei said. Hearing this, the three of them were dumbfounded. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that Qin Feiyang actually possessed two spatial divine items. Immediately, they dispelled the thought in their minds. Because Gongsun Bei would not lie to them. There were even many 9-star battle emperors' auras. Who knew if there were a few false gods hidden in the ancient pagoda? Therefore, he couldn't risk it. The journey was peaceful. Finally, Qin Feiyang came to the front of the divine power enchantment again. Seeing that there was no one around, Qin Feiyang left the ancient castle and activated the divine power enchantment. After entering the divine power barrier, he stood on the stone pillar and looked at the sacred mountain in front of him, his eyes flickering. The Mu family, the main tower, the mysterious madam. He seemed to be weighing something. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He entered the ancient castle and looked at Gongsun Bei. You take the three seniors to the sacred mountain. Gongsun Bei was stunned and frowned. What about you? He couldn't help but worry. Because now, the token to open the divine power enchantment was in Qin Feiyang's hands. Moreover, he couldn't guess Qin Feiyang's thoughts at all. He was afraid that Qin Feiyang had included them in his calculations. Qin Feiyang said, my subordinate is pretending to be Mu Xing. He may be in danger at any time, so I have to go and save him. Gongsun Bei frowned. Why? Are you afraid that I will leave you alone? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. It's not impossible, right? Gongsun Bei said, you think too much. Now you have three pseudo-gods around you. Even if I leave you behind, I don't believe that with the strength of three pseudo-gods, they can't break this barrier. Moreover, I still need you to go to the Endless Sea to help me get rid of the mysterious madam and Yiglao. How can I leave you alone? Qin Feiyang smiled. Gongsun Bei thought for a moment and said, are you sure you didn't include us in your calculations? Qin Feiyang nodded heavily. Well, I will take them to the sacred mountain. When you rescue your subordinate, come and join us immediately. In addition, you don't have to worry about the Mu clan's head. I will catch him myself. Gongsun Bei said. Good. Qin Feiyang nodded. Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang deeply and said, Then send us out. Qin Feiyang said, Before you go out, I think it's best for you to change your appearance first. Gongsun Bei and the Deputy Pavilion Master are all famous figures in the tower, especially Gongsun Bei. Who doesn't know him in the Central Divine Kingdom? The Mu clan also knows him. If they go out like this and are seen by others, wouldn't it be a waste? Gongsun Bei is also a smart person. Listening to Qin Feiyang's words, he understood what Qin Feiyang meant. Immediately, he took out 4 phantom pills, one for himself, and handed the other 3 to the Deputy Pavilion Master and the other 2. After slightly changing his appearance, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent the 4 people out. The 4 of them immediately sneaked towards the sacred mountain. When the 4 people disappeared from the screen, Lu Zheng withdrew his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. He asked, You purposely sent them away, right? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lu Zheng said, So, you plan to sell them? No, I do need their help. Because now, the situation has changed. The mysterious lady came to the Mu clan while the fake god of the tower came to the Mu clan and saved Miss Longfeng's teacher. In other words, the mysterious lady's side now has 3 fake gods, and the Mu clan, although there are 3 people in the Endless Ocean now, the Mu clan's great ancestor is only a 9-star combat emperor and can't intervene at all. So, in the face of the numerical advantage, Yiglao and the white-robed old man are definitely not the mysterious lady's opponents. But if the Deputy Pavilion Master and the other 2 also join their battle, the situation will become different. Qin Feiyang smiled. I understand. You want these 3 forces to fight to the death first, and then you go out and reap the benefits in the end? Lu Zheng suddenly understood. Yes. Taking the opportunity to save Miss Longfeng's teacher, the mysterious lady must now think that she is the biggest winner this time, but she doesn't know that she will be the biggest loser this time. Because the divine crystal will fall into my hands in the end, Qin Feiyang sneered. Lu Zheng said, What about Yanwei's clansmen? They are still in the mysterious lady's hands now. I didn't have a choice in the past, but now, I have the ancient pagoda. No matter how many people there are, it can accommodate them. When we go to the Endless Ocean, I will find an opportunity to transfer all of them to the ancient pagoda first. And I sent Gongsun Bei away this time. Actually, there is another matter. Qin Feiyang said. What is it? Lu Zheng was suspicious. Fire Qilin. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He had always remembered that Fire Qilin in his heart, and this was undoubtedly the best opportunity. Fire Qilin. Lu Zheng's eyes trembled. There was such a divine beast on the Forgotten Continent? Qin Feiyang flew the ancient castle to the herb field while taking out an image crystal to send a message to the Viper. Buzz. It didn't take long for Viper's shadow to appear. Qin Feiyang asked, Where are you now? Viper smiled and said, Strolling around the city and learning about the Mu family's situation. Huh. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He thought that Viper was still in the Holy Mountain. The Mu family's patriarch just asked me at the beginning, and then he didn't care about me anymore. I was bored in the Holy Mountain, so I left by myself. During this time, he didn't send anyone to find me, Viper said. Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng looked at each other. So, all the worries at the beginning were just them scaring themselves? It seems that sometimes it's better not to think too much about the problem. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and looked at Viper. Now I will give you another task. What task? Hearing that there was something important to do, Viper also stopped playing around. The Fire Qilin should also be locked somewhere in the Holy Mountain. You have to find a way to find it, Qin Feiyang said. Viper was taken aback and frowned. The Fire Qilin is a divine beast. The Mu family will definitely hide it carefully. I'm afraid it will be difficult to find it. Even if it's harder than climbing the sky, we still have to find it, Qin Feiyang said. Well, I will try my best. As soon as there is news, I will immediately send you a message. Viper nodded, and the shadow immediately dissipated. Little cousin, Do you think the fake god of the same period as the white-robed old man that the mysterious lady mentioned is still alive? Lu Zheng suddenly said. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. If he's not dead, then wouldn't it be fun for Gongsun Bei to destroy the stone tower in the Holy Mountain? Lu Zheng joked. Don't gloat. If he's not dead, not only Gongsun Bei will be in trouble, but we will also be in big trouble, Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. What are you afraid of? At worst, we don't want the divine crystals. We can just escape back to the great Qin Empire. What can they do to us? They can only stare. However, we can just leave, but the main tower and the mysterious lady can't. They will definitely face the revenge of the Mu family, and it will be a comprehensive revenge. I'm really looking forward to it. Lu Zheng chuckled. Qin Feiyang looked at him strangely. This guy really wanted to see the world in chaos. He smiled and said, Now that you mention it, I can't help but look forward to it. What could be more exciting than the three forces going all out? However, if the three forces really went all out, then he wouldn't escape back to the great Qin Empire, as Lu Zheng said. Because if the three forces were to fight, the final result would be a situation where both jade and common stone would be destroyed. At that time, who would benefit? Of course, it would be him. It wasn't in his character not to take advantage of the situation. During the conversation, the ancient castle had arrived above the herb field. At this moment, there was no one in the herb field. It was dead silent. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at the stalks of medicinal herbs that were swaying in the wind and overflowing with multicolored light. They felt as if there were many slender and elegant beautiful girls waving at them. Young master, let me out. Dan Wankai put down what he was doing and ran to Qin Feiyang's side. He stared at the herb field in the image, and his breathing became rapid. The white-eyed wolf, pangolin, winged snow eagle, and a group of fierce beasts also got up one after another. Their eyes were full of green light, and they even drooled. Qin Feiyang glanced at everyone, shook his head and said with a smile, The battle on the sacred mountain will start soon, so you have to move quickly. Dan Wankai and the other beasts nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and everyone appeared above the herb field in an instant. Then, without saying a word, they directly rushed to the herb field like a group of hungry tigers and wolves. Me too, Lu Zheng roared, also extremely excited. Don't think about it, just stay in the castle quietly. Qin Feiyang smiled in ridicule and disappeared without a trace. Lu Zheng's face immediately looked like he had eaten a large pile of shit, becoming extremely ugly. Qin Feiyang, you bastard. Then, you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.